This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to this SafariLive Sunset Safari. My name is Oli. Joining me behind the camera is Jamie and Craigie. We are coming to you live in the Kruger National Park, Sabi Sands, yes, in South Africa. For any questions and comments, don't hesitate. Click your Twitter account and then type hashtag SafariLive. So my plan for this afternoon is to find you everything. But for now, I'm on my way to the hyena den. Hopefully, I'll find something there. It's a nice sunny weather today. It's about 30 degrees Celsius. That's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So yesterday, I came this side and checked whether I'll find something, but I was unlucky. I didn't find anything. The den was empty. I think the young ones were inside the den. The reason was it was raining yesterday. Yes, so nice to talk to you again, my beautiful viewers. I hope you'll enjoy my drive. Oh, we have the head of impalas ahead of us there. So we'll get a close look. Let me stop here. Yes. We have the baby impalas. It's so great to see them because it means they've survived until this day. This place is full of predators. So seeing these youngsters here, it's so breathtaking. You can see the young impalas and the females, the males. Everyone is around here foraging, browsing, grazing, enjoying the weather because we had 2 days full of rain. So I'm sure they are also enjoying the sunny weather. So I think of driving forward, but I think I'll disturb. Yes, Linda, I also love the babies because this means the impala's population is going up. And seeing these youngsters here, it's so nice. I wish they can grow up without any predators killing them. But, you know, this is the wildlife. It has to be this way. Oh, you can see now this youngster can move away fast from a predator, and they can also hide because you can see it's thick and their fur is well camouflaging with the surroundings. So I'll drive forward. Yeah, so I'm driving forward. Hopefully I'll see the hyenas there. For now, let's go to the Mara because I'm not alone. I'm with David Kitamba Kitu.
A very good afternoon and jumbo everyone. Warm welcome to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And having seen impalas, I think from Uli we'll come to more antelopes just like the impalas. But these ones are much bigger and different from the impalas because they got very special colors, unlike the impalas also, where males have horns and the females do not have horns. The toppies that we got here, both males and females, got horns. Good afternoon again, and my name is David, and with me on camera is Bungay. Bungay, how are you, sir? Bungay says Bie, and yesterday we started with the Bungay in the afternoon, and when he did what he just did, we saw lions. Hopefully that good omen is going to happen today. Well, it's such a warm afternoon here in the Mara, warmer than what I thought, and 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees Celsius. For those who like using metric, and I'm sure as Oli told you, we love questions, we love comments, and you can always send them through hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, I was saying these antelopes are different from what Oli had, because look on their legs, on the hind quarters and the front quarters, you see there's a bit of brown and a bit of greyish in the adult on the right of your screen. But now looking for the left in front of her, that could be the mother of that young one there. but apparently she doesn't have the grey and the deep brown like the adult. The reason being because that's a young one. As she grows older, she will look like the mother who wants to have a pea break at the moment. And there's another youngster down there who is not concerned by the mother having a pea break. Well, this little herd or group of toppies, and anytime we compare the animals that we got in the Mara Triangle in Kenya that are different from what we got in Juma in South Africa in the Kruger National Park, Samisens, this is one of them. And the animals that they have, or they got that are similar to these, are called the sesame. And apart from the colors that are a little different, everything else between those two animals are the same. Now, if you look at the horns of the younger one there, you can see they have not started to curl. Are you going to show us your horns again? Okay, they're just coming out straight and not curling as they may look to the mother there who is an adult. And as she grows older, definitely they will take that shape. Now, we're looking at the ear of that particular one, Bunge. If you go to the ear of that young one there, and they have a formation like of a leaf. And this reminds me of the stain box that I kept seeing in Juma anytime I went on a drive. Linda, very true, they're very interesting antelopes. And Linda, as they grow older and they get the defined different colors, they even become more interesting and more cute. The grey on their legs, there's no any other antelope, Linda, we got here in Africa that will have those colors. And always a pleasure to hear your name, Linda. And just look on the grey, on the back legs there, and right on the rump, and also the front legs, the shoulder. And Linda, you see the ear, the inner side of the ear that I'm talking about, it takes the shape of a leaf. Now, we have been having wonderful rains here the last few days, and you can see she is enjoying the short lush grass. Not the tall one, but the short one, which is greener, is definitely more nutritious. And what they'll always do after eating a lot is to have a commercial break, look left, right, any concern, any predator coming. If no predator coming, it's fine. They can only see a game's vehicle ranger to the far left of your screen, who are always doing the thing of just patrolling to make sure everybody's safe. And look at the beauty of the Mara Triangle. Is that beautiful? Bao, how many hours a day do these animals eat? It will depend, Bao. That's a rather tricky question. It depends on when they're hungry, and maybe the best question would have been, how many liters does the baby nurse? And look at, the mother doesn't want the baby to nurse. She thinks the baby is too big. So it could be 3 hours, but what happens, Bao, when it warms up, they'll always be, either resting because they're ungulates. Ungulates are, they are the ruminants animals that will always chew cud. So they stay under the shade and start regurgitating what they had eaten earlier, rechew it to find a small little particles, then they re-swallow it one more time. So it could be 4 or 5 hours in a day, depending on the heat of the day, on the availability of food, and also the age of the animal. You would definitely imagine the adults will eat a lot more than the youngsters. See the difference between those two in terms of colors, the different tones of brown, the different tones of gray, and simply because of the age of these two particular antelopes here. This is fantastic, and I think it's a good start. Now, my big plans today, and I think I had Zoli saying he's going to the hyena den. I might also say my plans today is to go to a lion den. I don't know where the lion den is. Of course, they have no dens, but there's a place I'm thinking I might go looking for a lioness which might have given birth at a particular point if I am lucky. Well, we'll see that how it goes, but in the meantime, we'll go to Lauren, who is in South Africa, to say jumbo to all of us.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am back, and a happy new year to you all. My name, of course, is Lauren, and it is really, really, really good to be back. The sun has just burst through the sky, and it feels really good compared to my Scottish winter that I just suffered through over the Christmas and New Year. So my reptilian skin is very happy to have the sun shining back on me. So more importantly today, we are on a bit of a mission. We have heard there is wild dogs around. So we are on our way to see if we can find them. So fingers crossed. My first ever live drive was wild dogs. And my first drive back hopefully will be wild dogs. So don't forget to send in your questions and comments using that hashtag SafariLive. Thank you, Tom. Yay, welcome back. It feels like a really long time, but I'm genuinely happy to be back. Winter in Scotland is not fun. Even when you're from Scotland, it's really not fun. So back to the sunshine it is for me. So send all your good vibes. We really want to find these doggies. Having gone from a very fat beagle at home, we probably is even fatter now after Christmas. I'm really looking forward to seeing some actual wild dogs. Yes, it will be so good to see wild dogs again. I don't know when they were last saw on Juma, but it's been a while for me. The last time I saw them was with Brent, and it was a white knuckle ride, shall we say. Brent drives really fast when there's wild dogs around, so I'm definitely not as fast as him. So it will be awesome to sight these guys again. So while we continue, I'm trying to get there as fast as I can. We're going to send you over to Dolly to see exactly how he is doing.
Yes, I'm also searching for amazing things to happen, but I wasn't lucky at the hyena den. Then now I left the hyena den, then I think I will be lucky to find any spotted cat. And the other thing is this, that hyenas are known to be scavengers, but in real life, they are formidable predators. I've seen them hunting, especially during migration in the Mara with Jamie. It was my first time seeing hyenas hunting, and I also thought hyenas are scavengers all the time. But since I came into the conservation department, I've learned that 70% of their feeding strategy is on hunting, not on scavenging. So it shows that hyenas are strong, bold, and full of stamina. I might be lucky, who knows? Maybe Sydney will give me his luck to find spotted cats. Because back at the camp, he always says that spotted cats are following him. So I have a head of impalas again, and some what are those? Warthogs running there. Sorry, Craigie. Let me move a little bit forward and show you the warthogs. But they're moving fast. Hopefully we'll find something there. Oh, you can't find them. The impala. Oh, here they run. They're from this pen at the back here on my left of the screen. I think they were wallowing or they were feeding there because the grass is greener on the other side. So let's move forward and see what else we can find. And Jamie's back. Maybe she will give us luck to find hyenas, because hyenas were out of sight these days. I think when Jamie leaves, they also leave the den for a while. Then when she comes back, they also come back. Yes, let's see what Lauren has for us, because I hear that she has a buffalo.
Yes, we do. We have some male buffaloes, also known as the Dagger Boys. And although we are on our mission to the wild dogs, I did drive past these, I'm not going to lie, but then I saw them, and then I smelled them, and then we came back. They have a very pungent odour, shall I say. You really cannot mistake the smell of a buffalo. It's like cow, the normal cow you would get, but 10 times worse. So I did smell them, to be fair to myself. So obviously in the 3.5 weeks I think that I was gone, this whole environment has changed a lot. I couldn't believe how green it was. Really happy to see the green, a little bit terrified of the spiders that might come out, but overall really happy that it's green, and I believe these buffaloes are too. So obviously there's a lot more grass for them now to graze on. There'll be a lot more water around. They won't be restricted to certain water holes. There's puddles, there's other areas that have filled up with water. So these guys are probably just going to wander from water point to water point, quite happily grazing on all the green grass here. He has been watching us since we pulled up. He hasn't moved a muscle, so he's probably thinking, what are these guys doing? I was grazing quite happily there. Now, it is a small herd. There was others. I did see 4. I'm not sure if there's any more around. But the tricky part is about this time of year, it's a lot harder to see the animals. Even big animals like your buffalo or even your elephants can actually really cleverly hide themselves in amongst the vegetation. You can see right there, it's actually not too easy to see from far away. So there is our buffalo boys. Now there was lions on the property as well. Oh, that is a good question, Rosalind. Why is the Cape buffalo so dangerous? Well, it generally tends to be the males that are really, really aggressive, especially when they're on their own. So you can see that they're equipped, they're quite formidable animals, and they're equipped with their own weapons. You can see there those huge horns with those horn bosses in the middle, and that is probably why they are so dangerous. They will not hesitate to charge you if you annoy them or they're not happy with your presence, and they will charge and use their horns. So that's why they are termed so aggressive. But looking at this boy here, you wouldn't think that, would you? He doesn't look like the formidable bovid that his reputation gives. Hello, boy. So we are going to continue our journey on. We're going to say bye to the buffaloes, and we're going to head on to where we were originally going for the wild dogs. So I'll keep my eyes open and make sure I don't miss anything else. There was lions on the property. The Nkohumas are here, and the Avokas.
Of the unexpected, I saw a pack of 3 dogs which were devouring an impala. I mean, I couldn't believe it, because I was watching lions, and then some friend of mine told me, well, the news that someone might have seen some wild dog somewhere, and we went flying there, and true, there were 3 wild dogs, and they were feeding on an impala. Well, wild dogs are here in the Mara, as they are in Juma, but it's a lot easier to see them in Juma than here. But when you see wild dogs here, it's always great news. Now, as soon as I finished watching the wild dogs, I drove around, and I got to a place that I'm getting very close to, and found 2 lionesses of the pride that we call the Olololo pride, and they had cubs this big, and they were very shy, because I could only see the cubs from a distance in the thickets of the grass. So what I'm trying to do is to sneak at the same spot, very silently and very slowly, and find out if the mother is out, and if she is, will she bring the cubs out or not. But I think they're just too young to be brought out as yet, because I saw them from a long, long way. So that's the area I'm just about to get into, and slowly, look carefully, and I want just to go like a cat slowly, or go like a pathfinder snake that is always so still when moving, and find out, because we have good temperatures now, if they have come out or not. And if not, I'll definitely come back here much later in the day. What happens when it's maybe too hot and the cats don't like that much heat, they may have chosen not to come out until it cools off, and if they do, I'll be back here at one point. Well, not any that I see here. If Bungay, you can just pan in that little bush and we might be able to see what I'm talking about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, remember that we love questions, we love comments, and you can easily do that. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, and I'll be telling you more about the wilderness of Africa. Now, in that particular bush that you see there, exactly that one, that's where I left one female lioness this morning, and I saw two teeny cubs. My guess is they could be 5-6 days old or barely a week, and I just saw them jump up and down, and then they disappeared in the thickets. My guess now is it's rather hot, and maybe that's why they haven't come out, because anything over 80 degrees sometimes for the lions, and especially if they have cubs, it could be a bit hot, and that's why maybe they're not as out as yet. But what I'll do, I'll keep driving. Of course, there's a lot of game to look for, and who knows. And Kimberly, you're saying you'll be so happy to see cubs. Kimberly, don't go away. Stay tuned, because I'm going to leave this spot now because I do not see anything. But Kimberly, I'll come back here, I promise, because even me, I'll be very excited to see them. And I'll tell you what, I think I could be the first guide in the whole of this area to have seen them, because I was talking to the game warden like an hour ago, and he said, "What are you talking about? Cubs from the Olololos?" I told him, "Yes, where?" And I gave the directions. So he told me if I see him, I give him the coordinates of this place, and I'm sure he would also want to come at the same place. So there's nothing there at the moment, so just have to move on and look for other stuff elsewhere. Always very exciting to see baby cubs, baby cats of anything, leopard, cheetahs, lions are always very sweet. But I think the mothers need to build a bit of courage for them to bring them out, and maybe not as yet. Norina, ideally lion cubs, when they're born, their eyes are closed, I would say they're blind, and takes about 5, 6, 7 days for them to open their eyes. And that's one of the most difficult times for us to see the cubs, because at that age, the mothers do not want to take chances with cubs that cannot see. So they're born with their eyes closed or blind, unlike other cubs, Lorena, like hyenas, where their cubs already born with their eyes open. So for the lionesses, it's different. The cubs are born with their eyes closed. They're born blind, basically. What I've done, I'm just trying to look on the other side of this bush to see if they might have moved to this other side. But chances are, the first part that is where they still are. And Bungay is also looking very hard. Joy, you're asking if this could be the kingtail cubs. No, Joy. This area we are in here is the area for the Olololos. Olololo is the pride, I'm sure you know, the largest pride of lions in the Mara, and the kingtail is a long way. I saw kingtail yesterday, Joy, and she had not dropped her young ones, but her belly is so big. I'm not sure, Joy, you got my poll the other day when I was asking all the nice viewers like you, how many cubs do you think kingtail gonna drop? And by the last feedback, or the last poll I got from Luke in the final control, he told me 3 cubs were leading at 55%. So these cubs do not belong to kingtail or the sausage tree pride. These cubs belong to the Olololo pride, which is the largest pride here in the Mara, and they're not very far from where we are in the camp. Tomorrow morning is when I'll be going to the sausage territory to find out the latest about kingtail. Well, nothing we can see there. Bungay is trying the best he can, but his lens is only getting bushes, and both of us are looking, and we're looking very hard, and because we know once they den in a particular area, they don't go very far. So chances are they are going to remain here and we'll be coming back when it cools off. Bungay, we have a plan? Bungay says, yes, we have a plan. I can tell you, just because it's a bit warm now, and that's why maybe they're a bit shy in coming out. But there's still a lot of game we'll be seeing here, apart from the wonderful views. There's a place to look either for ellies, for buffaloes, for giraffes, or for other cats. Because before we came to this INSS here with the small little cubs, we had seen the whole pride of the Olololo with the 3 males of the Quechua males. Well, what we're going to do, we'll keep looking for other stuff, but we'll take you back to Juma, to Zoli.
Yes, I'm still searching. I just saw a terrapin walking across the road, and then it went straight to this pen. You can see the head is out now. It's trying to breathe and check the situation. These are the places to check whether the cats might be around or were here, because they love drinking on these pens. And then around the area or the shoreline of these pens, you can see their tracks. So I'll keep on moving forward and see whether I'll find something. And the birds are crazy this afternoon. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Oh, here's a bird there. Please don't run, don't fly. Whoa, are people allowed to adventure in the bush on foot? Yes, positive. People are allowed to go to the bush on foot, more especially if you have a scout, a qualified scout, who will lead the walk, or a trails guide. We normally do that here in SafariLive. We do have bush walks with Hebi and Rexon. And you have to be alert at all times. But the scout will keep you safe, because he went to school for that. He's qualified to do such job. Birds were crazy this afternoon, but now immediately I went live. They stopped calling, but I can see the starlings. They are sunbathing on my right hand side. Craigie, do you see them? I can see the starlings. Yes, these are the starlings. They are sunbathing, trying to get some warmth there. Because as I've said earlier on, that we had a little bit of rain these previous 2 days, so they've been getting wet. So now they are drying their feathers. You can see they are preening there, removing some dead feathers, cleaning themselves. And they also have some strategies, except this one of preening. They can use the insects to preen themselves. They can use the soil to preen themselves. And this is also one of the style of preening. These are called the Burchell's starling. We have quite a number of starlings around, which we have the violet-back starlings, which I saw them last year. I think they are migrants. We have the Cape Glossy starlings. I'll press forward and see whether I'll find you cats or hyenas maybe, because you know, if you are not around the den site, it means they are foraging. So we might bump into one, maybe somewhere around this place. I'm looking at these pens around. I'm driving pen to pen to check whether I'll see something, or I might be lucky to get something, maybe drinking, or an elephant drinking, because you know, when it gets hot, most of the animals, they tend to gather in water holes. Yes, Laura, what a beautiful sky and clouds we have over here. Yes. Actually, let's have a look. Let me stop and have a look at these clouds. They look so amazing and pretty, nice and beautiful. You can listen to the sounds of the bush, the birds calling, the wind, and the sounds made by the trees. It smells so nice right here. Let me press forward, Craigie, and see whether we might be lucky. It's been a while not seeing a spotted cat while I'm driving, so hopefully I'll find something today. So for any questions and comments, don't forget to type hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or YouTube chat stream. You'll find us there. Oh, an elephant, I heard. Yes, we are lucky here. We are lucky. We have an elephant. I think I'll press forward. Oh, it's coming. Yes, we have an elephant. We have an elephant over there. There's a pen right next to us. I think it will come here and drink because it's getting hot. Craig, you're getting a nice shot there. So I thought I've parked here because I thought it will come out from these bushes. So I think I'll press forward a little bit so it will get a nice view. Yeah, let me press forward a little bit, Craigie. You tell me when you get a nice view. It's bathing there. Let me just press forward a little bit. Yes, such a big eddy. Is it fun, Craigie? Yes. It's such a nice looking elephant. It's cooling itself down using the mud and water, spraying itself using the trunk. What I've seen with the elephants, before they spray themselves with water, they will start by drinking first. They will drink and then they will do the wallowing part after that. Only if it's clean water. You know, elephants, they love drinking clean water. Yes, Duncan wants to know, how can I tell that this is a male or female elephant? Duncan, sometimes you have to look at the genital parts only if they are visible. But for now, the thing is to tell that whether it's the female or male. I can say it's a male because you can see the penis is out now. It's more relaxed. And then the other thing is this, that most of the elephants that spend their time alone away from the herd, they're mostly males. And some other people, they say the males, they have a curvy forehead and the females have the angled forehead. So that one for me, it's more difficult to tell the elephants. So it's pressing forward. Let me turn to the side and see whether I'll get another view for you guys. Yes. Oh, it's going through the thicket. Let me see whether I'll get a nice view there. They're so big, but they can well camouflage in the thicket there. And the place is getting much thicker and thicker and greener. Let's hope find a nice view here. Okay, press on. Yeah, it's getting deep into the thicket. So. Yeah, it has finished, but I think you can see the ears are wet and they're full of mud there. That also acts as a sunscreen because they cover their skin very well, and they avoid being bitten or stung by mosquitoes or flies or yes, I think now he's going to rub himself on a rubbing post, because that's what they normally do to remove the ticks on their skin. So let's go to Lauren. She also has the Ellis. Maybe they are bathing there.
Yay, we came across Ellie's. We keep getting interrupted in our mission for wild dogs, but don't worry, we're still on it. We literally just hit some traffic, and that is the traffic jam of this elephant herd. Now, it's actually quite a big herd here. We've got some elephants on the left and the right, and you can see that this one is just feeding so happily, reaching up to the branches there, while continuing to flap its ears. It is really hot, and I mean really hot. So if I'm feeling the heat, I'm sure these big animals are too, as they have a much larger body size ratio, so it's more difficult for them to actually lose heat. And one thing I learned recently was that they actually do have wrinkly skin in order to retain the moisture. I didn't know that before. So don't forget to send in your questions and your comments using the hashtag SafariLive. It's really important that you're interactive with us. You can send in whatever you feel about these elephants. The sun's gone behind a cloud. We have a moment of relief. So you can see elephants just travel so far day by day just eating. What a lifestyle. But yes, going back to their wrinkly skin, you can see the skin here, and you can see that it's so wrinkly because it's actually trapping the moisture inside. So if there is a little bit of rain, or if there is any water that they've been swimming in the pool, they can actually trap some of that within the wrinkles, which ineffectively helps keep them cooler. So maybe that's one advantage of having wrinkly skin. No Botox for these guys. So we are literally surrounded by them. Tina, we have a ocean-related question here, which is actually really good because I'm considering taking up the post of Quizmaster of Brent, but always relating my questions to the ocean, because this could be the first one. And yes, it is true, elephants are related to whales. So elephants did come out of the sea, and they arrived at the elephants that we see here today. They do have a really long history with different species, of course, but yes, elephants are quite closely related to whales and manatees. Awesome question. Get some marine knowledge in there as well. And the reason it's important is both environments, both realms are completely connected. There's a really famous quote by an amazing lady called Sylvia Earle, who said, "Without any blue, there wouldn't be any green." So ultimately, the green and blue are completely connected. And here, where we are right now, there definitely wouldn't be any green without the blue rain. What was that, Luke? Can you just repeat that, please? Sorry, I missed what you said. Paula, yes, it is incredible. A lot of animals that you wouldn't think to be related are, and of course, life did stem from the sea. So there's a lot of connections to the mammals that we see here on land that go way back to the animals in the sea. And obviously elephants are one of the largest land mammals, and I guess whales are the largest ocean animal. So there's a connection right there. And their levels of intelligence are also very comparable. Elephants are said to be incredibly intelligent, as are whales. Now, I do a lot of reading into animal intelligence, and it's very difficult to quantify because we tend to put a sort of human influence on it, the way that we think intelligence should be. But there's lots of studies now going into exactly how intelligent animals are, and of course, elephants come right up there. I believe that their brain is like 3 times the size of humans. Or not. They do have a large brain though, and they are said to be incredibly intelligent, up there with the hyenas. Are what related to any marine animals there? Look, did you say hippos? Ah, hippos. Well, hippos are obviously amphibious, and it's in their name. So their Latin name says it's all. Hippopotamus amphibious. And that actually means that they rely on water. So they're sort of land and water animals. So they're obviously not ocean aquatic animals, but hippos themselves need the water. They couldn't survive without it. So they're definitely strongly linked to the ocean, more so than elephants. But as for the lineage of what they're related to, I would definitely need to check that out. Sorry, I'm mesmerised by all these elephants eating right in front of me. Christine, have I ever had a close encounter with an elephant? Well, believe it or not, right now, I'm not very good at judging distance, but this elephant is probably about 5 meters maximum away from this car. So I would say that's pretty close. That's about 15 feet. And on foot, I've also had some fantastic encounters as well. You have to be very careful when approaching elephants because they're very sensitive. There's a lot of animals around here that they are very scared of, but this one here is so close. So I would say yes, I've had a lot of close encounters with elephants. None of them scary, of course, as long as you approach them correctly. They are just amazing animals. They are very new to me, African elephants. I did spend a large portion of my life in Asia, especially Sri Lanka. So I saw a lot of Asian elephants, not necessarily African elephants. And they do have their differences, believe it or not. They're obviously elephants and look like elephants. However, Asian elephants are much smaller. They're definitely not as big as these ones. And they have different coloration. They have lots of pink around their skin. Their ears are a slightly different shape, and they do have different tips at the end of their trunk, but you would have to look really closely to see that. So there's quite a lot of differences between them. So being out here in South Africa, this is my first overall experience with African elephants. So I'm in a complete dream with these guys, but we will move on eventually to look for our doggies. So for now, let's throw you all the way up to the Mara to see what is happening over there.
Lauren, and I can't wait when I'm going to meet Lauren so that I can get lots of insights about marine biology, because, you know, sounds very knowledgeable in that particular field. Because us here, we tend to deal with the animals out of water and mainly on land. Well, I hope I'll be looking for some elephants also today and try and compare my Lauren's elephants and try to do some comparables of the differences of the elephants here and the elephants in Juma. I've always heard James Henry saying the elephants here in the Mara are more rounded in shape than the ones in Juma. I don't know what about them when you come back talking to all the nice viewers, but I think it's yeah. And also to add on to that, to me, I think they're also a little bigger in size. I'll bet by 1 inch or so, they look a little bigger and more chubby than the elephants in Juma. Well, I haven't been very lucky this afternoon with my lions, but I'm still looking very hard. And I'm sure we know that when we bring you all this wonderful experience to the African wilderness, once in a while we'll get some breakups, so we truly apologize for that. And sometimes your picture will disappear, my melodious voice, if it is, will disappear, but we are back in action. So there's the things that will come once in a while. So we just want to look from here, and we might be seeing some lions. The area I left, they must have moved. So, and I got some news from my friend, they moved further this way, and that's the direction I'm going. But ideally what happens every time you move, you'll be moving looking for something, and then you bump into something else. It could be a bird, you know, and a few days ago I was looking for cheetah, and instead of getting the cheetah, I got, you know, a mother and a baby, and that was very exciting, and I forgot about the cheetah altogether. So I want to find out where the pride is for this morning, where they want, and how is that. Do we stop here? Okay, let's see if we can see anything from a distance or not. We're going to try and pan up a nice camera long distance from where we are, and there's an area we think there could be something like lions, maybe not, and we're going to find out right now in a few seconds. And there, it's quite a long way from where we are, near that little bush there, but there's two, I would say, youngsters, quite a distance near that forest. We saw them because of the light, because the sun is shining some light on them, and that made it easier for us to spot their heads. And these are the two members of the Olololo Pride that I had in the morning, and they move a lot. So this particular pride consists of 16 members, but what we have gathered the last few weeks, they have split themselves in small groups. We got 4 females here, and 2 are separately, and the 2 are the ones I was looking for earlier, which got, I think, each 2 cubs. I saw 2 cubs this morning. I'm not sure from what female. And then there is a gang of 7 young males that have also separated from the main pride. And of course, they are always, they have the pride males that we call the Kicho males, which are 7, or rather which are 3, and they're also living separately. So this group has like split into 4, and we'll try and see if they can get a road, then take us anyhow closer. Next, you'll want to know the meaning behind the Olololo name. Well, there's an escarpment. I'm going to swing around, and I'm sure going to show you that escarpment. And to the local people here, I am calling them the Maasais, call this escarpment Olololo. I'm going to show you that escarpment from here for a couple of seconds, and you're going to see how beautiful that escarpment is, and I'm going to explain to you why we call these lions the Olololo. Ideally, sorry about my head. My head doesn't look as good as the Olololo escarpment, and that is the Olololo escarpment. And just look how good it is, and in the background, beautiful sky with all the clouds. That's the other beauty of the Mara Triangle. Now, that escarpment is called the Olololo. And if you ever watched the movie Out of Africa, parts of it were shot here. I'm talking about the 80s. Now, we name our prides here, or lions, depending on what has been found, or depending on how the animals look like. But now this particular pride of lions always hangs around this area of this escarpment that we call the Olololo, and that's how we ended up naming this pride the Olololo. That's the Olololo. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll try and go closer to those 2 lionesses that we saw, and possibly maybe see the whole group. Now we'll take you back to South Africa, to Zuli, who got some interesting antelopes.
At least, David, you have yourself some lions. I can't find any spotted cats or any lion or any cat. But I have these 2 beautiful antelopes here. These are the smallest antelopes we find in Duma. This is a male steenbok. Then there's a female on the right there. I can't see. Oh, it's hidden. I think I'll go a little bit forward. Maybe I'll be lucky there. This is a mating pair. Oh, they are moving into the thicket. Oh, let me go back. Craigie, please tell me when you see them. Is it fine? I think it's going to be fine. Yes, this is a mating pair, but the Steenboks are highly territorial. The males and females, they have territorial spaces, but they are monogamous. They pair for life, and then when they are out of mating season or breeding season, they will have the territories next to each other. So if you see them together like this, it means there's mating going on. Look at these ears, nice one. Lionhead, yes indeed, they are so beautiful. Oh, they move deep into the thicket. I'll press forward and see whether I'll find a nice spot for Craigie to get them again, or if they go into the thicket, then I'll leave them. Oh, look there ahead. Craigie, we have the warthogs again. These are the smallest dagger boys we can find around this place. There's a pen ahead of them on the left. I think they will wallow there, hopefully, but they look a little bit skittish. Oh, they are running. Let me check whether these are females or males, or male and a female. The male, press forward, Craigie. The male and the female warthog. The male has 2 sets of warts, here and here, and then the female has 1 set of wart. And then, yeah, there, nice one. Let's see, Craig. Yes, you can see. Oh, you can see this one. Oh, that's running. It's a female, and then this one is a male. You can see the back at the back. They ran. Yes, Paula, they want to be live today. I don't know why. Oh, it's because they're enjoying the weather, because they only have time to wallow than being live. So they don't need to be live today. And when we need you guys to be live, you don't want to. And the day you want to be live, we'll walk away from you. Now they are running just right next to the car. Paula, how tall were these Steenboks if they were right next to me? Steenboks are about, let me see, I think they are about shoulder height. It runs about 70 to 80 centimeters, the shoulder height. I'm not quite sure, but when they are the size of a goat, and the size of the matured warthog. Yes, yeah, because their height is about from my foot to my knee. Yeah, they don't go above my knee, and oh, Fina, how big Steenbok territory. Steenboks are animals that they love to live in an open place where they will see a predator from a distance. That's why they have the big ears. So their territory, they can go up to from 5 to 20 square kilometers. It depends on the space or the vegetation around, or how big your place is, for example, your reserve. If you have steenboks, so they will go for about 5 square kilometers. I'm looking around. The birds are gone now. It seems like today no one wants to be live. They just want to enjoy the weather. I'm still pushing. Hopefully I'll find something like a cat or something interesting. Let's go to Lauren and see whether she's up to something or not.
Luck, we're still working on it. So we've managed to get some updates on the doggies and they have moved. It was very overcast this morning. I would say the sun only really came out about 1:30. So they've probably moved since this morning and maybe now they're seeking some shade because it is so hot. So we're still looking for them. We managed to find some tracks. Tracking is definitely more difficult when the rains come, but the tracks have been spotted, so that's what we're following up on this now. I'm determined. I have to find them for you all. I always get the good luck in the end, so we're on it. But these animals, when they are on the move, wild dogs do move incredibly fast. So we're going to keep looking. Hopefully they aren't moving fast. Hopefully they are taking a rest. But now we're going to send you guys over to David to see what he's got.
Well, good luck, Lawrence. Lawrence, keep trying, keep trying. You never know. A time will come when you might get yourself some wild dogs. It's very possible. And these are animals that give us wonderful surprises. But I got some ellis now that are coming up here, as much as my frustration of those lions did not, I didn't get a route to get anywhere close to them because of where they were. It's an area that's marshy and very wet. But in the meantime, we've got a nice herd of ellis here and very beautiful light that would be watching and maybe finding out if the lead female in the particular herd here is the matriarch, because they have what sometimes we say a parade of elephants, and there they are. They're led by one very huge female, and by virtue of her size and the tusks that she got, I would only guess she is the lead female in this herd. And maybe her calf following very closely, and there's some either grey-backed physical and some sort of shrike in that orange leafed croton. And it's a huge herd of elephants. I'm looking at 20 plus of them, adults, youngsters, and they pushed the bird out, or the grey-backed physical went on top of that dead tree there. And what a beautiful background we got here. It's a herd of elephants. Let's say I think about 15 or 20 of them. And with all the rains going on, with all the green grass, it's time for everybody to feed. Puma, how are you? And good to hear your name. And Happy New Year, Puma. And that's a vehicle just flying there. I'm not sure, Puma, that those guests are aware we have such a great sighting here. And yes, Puma, those tusks are huge by any standard. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, should you have nice or any comments like what Puma had, she just saying, those tusks are huge, you're more than welcome to send them through. Should you have any question also, do it, and you can use hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. See, the grass now have started to grow very tall, and most of the grass you see here, we'll call it the red oat grass, which is also very popular with ellis. But if you look at them carefully, they are avoiding that one because I don't think it's nutritious as the shorter grass. The shorter grass is much greener, that's my guess, and maybe has more vitamins, has more minerals, and especially for females like this, which could be pregnant or which could be nursing. Look at that small little calf there. That's exactly what they will need to keep their calves going. Such a small little baby. Wolfgang, you'd like to know whether do female elephants also got tusks? Absolutely, 100%. Now, our elephants here, or what you call the African elephant, and also what you are seeing here, which is the savanna elephant, is a little different from the Asian elephants. The Asian elephants, you'll get males with tusks, and females do not have tusks. But our African elephants, both males and females, got tusks. But apparently, the males have slightly larger, slightly longer tusks than the females. Once in a while, we have seen elephants here either with one tusk, or we have seen an elephant here either with a broken tusk, and that is just maybe for some, genetic reasons, or if they had a little fight somewhere, that would have happened. But generally, both males and females got tusks. When they're pretty small, tiny, they will not have tusks until maybe the age of 2.5, 3 years. Greenland general, anything 6 months or so, the baby elephants should be able to eat grass, and they'll keep eating the grass all the way until maybe they're 4 with the mothers. And you can see some egrets there that are just trying to get some insects jumping up there. So those small little calves there, I'm just guessing they could be slightly over 2 years old, and that's wonderful lighting there, Bungay, and beautiful background. And these calves will always, have a lot to learn from their mothers as they keep eating. So 6-8 months is a good age for them to be trying to complement their mother's milk. And you see them nibbling their small little grass to start with as they grow older. And if they're females, they'll always tend to remain in the herd, and if they're males, at a particular time once they mature, they'll definitely leave the herd and go live their life. But the girls will always remain in the herd all through their lives. Look at those two there, they're just having some fun time, full of nonsense. Some 2 youngsters there with a grey backed physical in the background. I'm not sure she's watching or not, and that's just a friendly fight here and there. I have always said elephants are my favorite animals. You can all tell. An elephant will never give you a split of a second of boredom. Flap their ears, close them, open eyes, close their eyes, look at you, move a little bit, grab some grass, put it in the mouth, keep moving on. You see lions like the ones we had seen before. From a distance, if they decide to go flat, they are flat. Christian, good question. Now, the females at the age of 60, just like human beings sometimes, not like humans exactly, but they live 60, 65. But I think at a ripe age of 40, 45, it should be like a ripe time for the females to stop breeding. And of course, that will depend again on the genetic or lineage of an elephant. But 40 or thereabout is an age where they will be able to stop breeding, or 45 maybe max. It's a very big cow there in the group there. So the big males will always not tag along with Ellis, and they'll always go form their own herds. You can get a herd of 3 or 4 or 5 males living together. And how lovely to see the greyish colors in the contrast of the different shades of green. Lida, I must have missed the question from Lida. You can be happy to bring it again. And I was trying to find out which could be the matriarch here. If, look, you're going to bring me that question again, I'll be very happy as we keep watching this herd of elephants. And you notice now, Lina, I think your question is, do some moms reject babies? And that has not been recorded. I don't think that has been recorded. Like the only one case I've seen is a buffalo that one time gave birth and rejected its own baby. But I'll tell you, the elephants here, the cows, are some of the most social, I would say, mothers. They're very attached to their babies. I have never seen a cow rejecting its own baby. And should that happen, I think is always left to the mother nature. Not one I've seen, like a cow rejecting its own baby. There's a center in Nairobi called the Duff and Shadrick, and what they do there, it's said they collect babies or elephant calves that have been abandoned out here in the wilderness, and then they feed them, they make them grow, and once they are mature and they're independent and they can eat grass, they release them again back to where they found them. But I would say all my life in the bush here, I have not seen one cow rejecting its own baby. There was a huge mother there, and they'll continue eating after eating grass, because elephants sometimes they're mixed feeders. They'll eat both grass and some bigger leaves and twigs. That's why they're feeding now there, to get some little branches or some twigs, just changing their menu, because I think the better part of the day they've been eating a lot of grass in the marsh. Elephants, Amanda, will give birth. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure, Amanda, elephants have the longest gestation period of an animal. Maybe I'm trying to remember. Amanda, these cows here take 22 months to carry a baby. So we'll not say they give birth every year. They'll give birth every 4 to 6 years. Because 2 years, is a very long time to carry a baby. And for having successfully carried a baby for about 22 months, more or less, they need to do the best they can to make sure that baby survives. And they may take, 3-4 years before they conceive again, just guaranteeing the baby they had carved previously is able to stand on her or on his 2 feet. So it's such an investment to keep a baby for 22 months in the womb, and maybe get another one very quickly. So definitely count 2 years without getting another baby, and maybe 2 to 3 years taking care of that baby until she is guaranteed that baby is good to go. So it's every couple of years, say 4 or 5 years, is when they'll get new calves. This is so wonderful to see such big mammals here, which also happen to be the largest mammals that live in Africa. And I'm sure Zoli is trying to show us animals that during the day they'll be in water, and out in the evening throughout maybe the night.
Yes, indeed. I also have one of the biggest mammal, which is a hippo. This is Scuba Steve. You can see someone is also taking a ride there, the terrapin. There's this one terrapin that is trying to catch a ride, but it can't. I think it's slippery there, just next to this hippo's butt. So this one is enjoying this water, but the thing is, it can't submerge because he is so big and the water level is so low. Maybe it might go out now because it's cloudy. Catherine, Scuba Steve, I don't know whether he has a friend or not, because all the time when I come this side and Scuba Steve is always alone. I don't think he will have a friend in this water hole, more especially female. Females, they need a pen or a dam that is well structured. So I don't think a female will be attracted in this low water level. On the other side, on the right, Craigie, we have a monitor lizard there. Can you see it? Yes, so monitor lizard, I think, is deciding to take a ride with that terrapin. Let's see what's gonna happen. Oh, it's looking for something, maybe an insect there or something. It's just changing pools. It's going to this other water hole now. There's a water hole. This is one big water hole, but it's divided into two because you can see there's a path between these pens. So I think it's going to take a ride. Let's wait and see. There's a meeting going on. Maybe the hippo is called a meeting, terrapin meeting, and water monitors meeting. And you can hear it's so quiet. They will have a very good meeting without any disturbance. Monitor lizards are one of the best swimmers. The way they are structured, their body, their legs. Yes, Vicky, this is so fascinating. As you can see there on top there, you can see a terrapin is trying to get in and have a ride. But I think it's also slippery that side. Where's the guy? Where's the monitor? I think he's gone. Oh, here he comes. I think he's looking for something. Let's see what this monitor is up to. Maybe you might see something amazing here. He's just foraging, I think. He's foraging around. Maybe he will get lucky, or he might get lucky. Craigie, let's go far right there. There's a bird that's busy with something. It's waiting patiently there on the right. This guy is waiting patiently here. Yes, that bird call was from the blacksmith lapwing. Yes, blacksmith lapwing. This is a gray heron. He's waiting patiently there. You can see he's waiting for any movement that you will see in the water, or that it will feel with its legs. And then you can see the beak is sharp, spear-like beak. Then it's used to stab the prey. One of the birds that are so relaxed and patient. This guy is so patient. These are one of the birds that are very patient, because they have to hunt and then they have to wait and they have to feed. So for them to have a successful hunting, they have to wait and wait and wait. Seen it. I've never seen this bird catching a prey before. I've only saw it on the internet, but live, no, I never seen that. But I think it will do something here. Let's wait and see. Maybe it's looking at something. Let's wait and see. You can see the body posture now. It has changed. Get the S-shaped neck. You can hear the background there. There's a pale spotted owlet. This place is so nice and quiet. Oh, it's so great to be in the wildlife space. Oh. So while I'm listening to the sounds of the wild, let us go to Lauren and have an update.
Looking. This is exhausting work, this is. We know they're around. We're checking possible area. It is most likely dogs will be flat by now with the heat of the sun as it is right now. They are most likely seeking shade in the flat area. So that's going to make it a little bit more tricky for us to find. But we're still on the tracks. And you know me, I won't give up just yet. But it would be such a great find today to find them. So the mission is still on. And it's nicer to drive a little bit faster so you get a little bit of breeze. I'm gonna go this way. Right, where are you, doggies? So it's really important we seek all the shaded areas as well. Oh, what was that? Look, comms are really bad today. I'm not able to quite hear you. Oh, good luck from everyone. Yes, I need it. I need the luck. Of course, if we see anything on the way, we will stop. But our main mission is to find these dogs. So send all the luck that you can. And they're actually quite small with that mottled pattern on their coat. So I imagine they will be quite camouflage, which will make it a little bit more trickier for us. But still, we shall do this. Monique is asking something about tracking, but I will need that one more time. Look. Oh, which pack? I got you. Actually, no, I don't. I'm really not sure of that just yet. We know it's wild dogs, obviously. I think we'll just have to wait until we find them to see exactly who they are. Obviously, wild dogs, packs are very complicated social structures. So let's hope we can find them and answer that for you, Monique. Oh, there's loads of little birds and bird calls around here. It's just beautiful. And I have to say, when I was at home for the festive season, I really miss the bird calls. I think the only thing similar that I could possibly say was we have the pigeon, which kind of sounds like the turtle dove. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. That's what the one sounds like at home. And that is about it. So it's glorious to hear all these bird calls again. Okie dokie, where are we headed? We shall go right. You can't imagine where we've been. We have been everywhere. They have to be somewhere. All right, come on. Mission on. Alrighty. We're going to continue looking. Keep going. But during this time, we are going to send you up to David and see what he has in the Mara.
I'm sure at one point success will come with those dogs, and just like me, as much as I got my success of the two lions, as I'll bet not the way I wanted to see them and close to the road. So I said, well, the lions will stay there, let me look for something else. And I'm looking at the hour. I promise if it doesn't get very dark or very late, depending on where I am, I'll be going back to the one or two lionesses I saw this morning with the 2 small little or 4 small little cubs and see if they pull them out of the thickets. So I'm just crossing fingers, hoping that will happen. And instead of getting there, we got some giraffe here. Let's see if we can stop and talk to this giraffe, Camelopodus. And not sure why she could be alone, maybe going to join the rest of the herd, and majestically walking very close to Alaga there. Very social animals too. But once in a while you'll see one on its own. Having seen the elephants, the tallest animal now we got in Africa, or basically the whole world. And this is the Maasai giraffe. Why you walk in a rush there? But of course she knows to cross such an area that's got lots of thickets, it could be anything hiding in there, so she doesn't want to walk slowly. She better go fast and thump the ground. So if there are any lions or anything, you just scare them out. Now she's disappeared on the other end. Let's see if we can catch up with her on the other side of that lager. Okay. So that's the Maasai giraffe, and we got some other races of giraffes in Kenya. I'm talking about the Rothschild giraffe and also another race called the reticulated giraffe, that they all got different body patterns. So she just stood there and she's watching to make sure she's safe before she makes another move. I'm going through a small little drainage here. Hopefully my signal will stay. And I don't have a breakup. You remember we told you once in a while our signals will come going, but I think I'm still there. And now this giraffe is running, and I have no reason why she's running and running towards us. And there she goes. Run. See how they gallop, giraffes? And just to stop. The rest, either she's a little scared. She looks like a young girl, and either's trying to catch up with the rest of the herd. And not sure where the rest of the group is. Chances are it's the direction she's walking to. Look at how she runs. 2 in the front, 2 to the back, like a gallop. Oops. But you can tell, it's a little struggling. I don't know why. How fun is that, eh? Are you tired already? But you can see she's looking way in front, either to catch up with the rest. Either she can't see them. She's like, where are you? Because to me, she's just too young to be on her own there. And she may have to keep walking a little faster to catch up with the rest of the herd. Sinak, I'll tell you, it's not an issue to see them alone. I would have expected if he was a boy, maybe he was out, of the herd, trying to see whether he could pair up with other boys. But Sinak, I'll tell you, she is not very far from the main herd. Or she just, lagged behind, either while eating. See how she runs. But she knows it's getting late now. It is time to join the rest of the herd. But in general, Sinak, giraffes are very social animals. The only one thing I've not respected giraffes for, I have thought the mothers of giraffes are the most careless mothers I know of. Not like of those impalas that are just being watched by those other guests in that green vehicle there. So most likely she must have seen the rest of the herd at the pace she's going. Steve, how fast can giraffes run? I've got to be finding out for you. I might have had it before. Was it 30 kilometers an hour? I will let you know. Stay right there because I can't remember at the moment. But Steve, stay there. I'll be letting you know soon. But they are quite fast. And what they do, if they need to go very fast, it will be the gallop, like we saw. But sometimes they make the two ambling of 2 legs and 2 legs of one side very quickly, like this. Now she must have gotten the rest of the herd from where she disappeared to. I am thinking, if not, then she has to move a little bit faster to catch up with the others. It's not in the wilderness here that you want to be alone. You definitely need to be with the other members. David, I'll tell you what, yes, lions will do that. We have been able to catch up with that giraffe. And like now, David, and thank you for your question. We have seen all the migration of the wildebeest having gone to Tanzania. And because that has happened, now the lions are left with only one choice, hunting the big prey, and the big prey will include giraffes. Not only a youngster like this one, David, they even hunt fully grown giraffes. We have seen them doing that. I'm talking of apparently the olololos. Olololos have been known to go for fully grown giraffes because, I mean, at such a huge size of lions, they'll definitely need to get something big, if not a giraffe, a buffalo. She's just moving in the other side. Well, 60 kilometers an hour makes sense, 60 kilometers an hour. So that could be the speed of giraffe. I was trying to compare that to the buffaloes, and the buffaloes are a little slower than giraffe because buffaloes can do 50. So I'll guess 60 kilometers an hour. That could be the average speed, I would assume, depending on the terrain she is in. But I think Steve, 60 kilometers an hour could be roughly the speed of a giraffe speed of a giraffe. Hopefully that, Steve, helps to answer your question. And I wouldn't know what should be running for or from to do 60 kilometers an hour. But that sounds like a possibility. And I'm sure these impalas definitely would be running a lot faster than giraffes. Hello, impalas. It's a nice herd of giraffes. Very good. So this is a breeding herd of guests, all girls, and being mixed feeders. You'll already sometimes call them ecotons, close to the bush and out in the grass because they'd feed in either of the foliage there. Well, my friend Tristan would like to say hello to all of you.
Indeed, David, we are out, and it is nice to be out in some beautiful sunshine. It's the first bit of sunshine I've had at Juma since the new year, so I'm quite happy about the fact that we've had sunshine. Now, I've been riding along with Lauren for the course of the afternoon, and we've been trying to find these wild dogs and trying to kind of see where they are. And we've had lots of tracks of them going up and down around the Mulwati system. So nothing goes south and doesn't cross the Mulwati as far as we can see to the west. And so I think that they're just lying up maybe in a Tamboti section very close to where Tandi had her den before. Now, I'm being very rude, and I haven't really introduced myself properly for those of you who don't know who I am. My name is Tristan, and we have swapped over. Lauren did the first half of the drive, and she did a very good job at that. She found buffalo and ellies, and basically we had to track down these wild dogs from quite far. We started with the tracks all the way up at Gari, Katla, Buffelshoek boundary, and we've kind of tracked them all the way down now towards sort of Twin Dams, just north of Chelapan area. Now, I want to know from everybody, was the dam cam down at the moment? Because the dogs crossed straight over the dam wall. And so I wonder if the dam cam must have been down at that stage when they did cross over the dam wall, because otherwise I would have thought we would have seen them, well, you guys would have seen them. You're normally very, very good at telling us about these things, so I assume that the dam cam must have been down. Now, the last... So it's all been very quiet, but the dam cam is up. Okay, well, they must have crossed during the course of the morning because they would have been there already at the start of drive. Their tracks came down quite quickly in that area, so I think they would have been around lunchtime, maybe before that, when it was still overcast and cool, like Lauren was alluding to. They might have gone across that way, so we'll just have to see. We'll have to just kind of try and have a little look around. So, how many wild dogs in a pack? Usually in a pack? Impossible to really say because pack sizes vary hugely in certain areas. So you'll find that some packs will be, you know, all the way up to sort of 40, 50 dogs. Other packs will be 2 or 3. So it's impossible to really give an average number, and they're so variable all the time. So you can actually see their tracks on the road here in front. Oh, sorry, Rusty. It's good to be back in Rusty, I must be honest. As much as Wendy is nice, and I drove Wendy a lot last year, I prefer being in Rusty. So here on the left-hand side of the road, you'll see that there's a disturbance on the road. So these are the tracks for the dogs. Now, we can't find really any that move from this section. So I'm thinking that they must be lying up somewhere in the shade of this particular area. I don't think that they've crossed over at all in the Mulwati. I certainly didn't see any signs of it. It was a bit tricky to kind of have a little look there because there was those that must not be named or seen or anything like that that were running around there. And so tracking is not exactly easy when they're around. So, you know, I mean, I surmise that they're somewhere close by. It's hot enough that the dogs would be lying down, particularly if they had an extended run this morning, which they must have, because they were spotted all the way up near the Manyeleti boundary with Buffels Hook, so they were a long way away. So they've run a lot during the course of today, and I would have expected them to maybe find a place to settle. Good, now we're going to try and see what we can find, but before we find any wild dogs, something that's been a lot more elusive than even the dogs is that of Jamie Patterson, and she's back, and she wants to say hello to all of you.
I suppose that depends on your perspective, because I haven't been that rare in Hoedspruit. In fact, I've been a regular visitor to the local supermarket pretty much every single day. And when it comes to sightings on Djuma, yes, I have been exceedingly rare because I've been on leave, and it is lovely, lovely to be back once again. First of all, being driven around in the capable company of Tloli. We have now swapped places, and I'm back, ready for action and very excited. And my goodness, has it got beautiful while I was away. All that rain has made everything lush and green, and it's also made me really rusty because I'm actually quite embarrassed. I smelt those dogs, and I thought I was going crazy. I thought it was a waterbuck, but I smelt them on Weaver's Nest when we were driving around, and I even said, I can smell something. Is it dogs? Is it waterbuck? Must have been the dogs. I have passed that message on to Tristan. So the plan for this afternoon from my side, we're going to cruise down to Chitwa, see if we can get ourselves a space with the lions. If we can't, then I'll go and help Tristan until it's time to do the standard Jamie thing, which is to go and check the hyena den. I hear some exciting news. Tristan tells me that June's got suckle marks. So, you know, lots and lots to look forward to. But I had a good leave. It felt very short. It went very quickly. For Christmas I got malaria, which I've managed to escape up until now. It was actually the first time I've ever had malaria, and I don't quite know how. And I picked it up from Djuma, I must have, because I came too soon after I returned to Hoedspruit for it to have come from there. It's got quite a long, extended incubation period. But yeah, I mean, of course, Brent's been desperately trying to collect the final set so he can have a nice round number of 30, but this time it was me. I got malaria. Luckily we caught it very early, so it was... Oh, there's leopards there. I see leopards there. Hi, leopards. Well, that's a nice surprise. Is that a leopard? It is. It's two leopards. Is that Tandy and Shalamba? Ta-da! I'm back. You can thank me later. Cool. Very, very cool. Guys, unfortunately, that is on Torchwood, and at the moment we are not permitted to go there. But what I'll do is I'll try and get us into a little bit of a different... That looks like Tlalamba to me. Tandy, is that you? Oh, my girls. What a nice surprise. Come this way. Come on, girl. Come this way. Come on. You know you want to. Hey! Ha! What a streak. I've barely been on the car 5 minutes. Magic Dragon Wizard says, well, that was fast, JB. I know. I mean, that was pure... I would love to say that that was thanks to some great skill that I possess, but that was pure luck. It really was. I mean, that was entirely unexpected. But I'm hoping, because the squirrel's alarm calling that way, I'm hoping that means they're moving this way. Danelle says I've revealed the catnip. You know, funny enough, it works on them. I'm just trying to see, Craig, I'm just going to do some shuffling. I'm going to go forward and see if there's a better view. And then I'm going to go backwards if there isn't. And then I'm going to call everything in on the radio. So I'll do that while we're shuffling. And then we can talk about Thandi and Tlalamba, because I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Our stations, looks like Thandi and Tlalamba, lying up just off Cheetah Cut Line, about probably 250 meters south of the Buffelshoek Junction. I can't see them. Let me see a bit further. Sorry, I was just chatting on the Game Drive radio, but I was interrupted by someone else who wanted to talk. What was that? Gator wants to know if that is the border of the property, and the answer is yes and no. It is. I'll explain this in a sec. It's a bit more complicated than the border of the property. No, this is not working. Hang on. Stand by. Back where we were. Craig, if I go there, can you see under that log, or is that just from my perspective? Doesn't work, does it? Oh, you can see Thandi if I go forward slightly. Standing by. Sorry, everyone. IFM, very easy. You go to the old den itself and you'll see there's a well-worn 2-track that runs almost straight towards Treehouse. And it's probably about 70 meters south down that way. Cool, guys. What a nice surprise. I'm very distracted. Oh, everyone wants to talk to me. Aubrey's telling me they've moved. The hyenas. Okay. Alright, well, we'll figure that out in a bit. Let's focus on the leopards, and let's just talk about why I can't go closer. So each and every single property in the Sabi Sand is made up of different properties. Some little, some big, some... Oh, goodness, hold on. Standing by. Afternoon, how are you doing? If you come along Cheetah Cut Line, if you come south from Buffelshoek Cut Line, I'm not sure exactly where I am, but I'm probably about 250 meters south of that junction. No problem. They're on the Torchwood side, but I'll keep visual of them. Okay, right. What was I talking about? The Sabi Sand. The Sabi Sand is made up of different properties. Now, the ability to drive on certain properties is something that is very importantly balanced out here. So obviously, you could have too many vehicles in one place. So it's balanced out so that certain vehicles can be somewhere and certain vehicles can be elsewhere. And there's certain places that we can drive that other lodges can't, and vice versa. Now, Torchwood's a little different. Torchwood we can go onto, but only if we're given permission to do so. So when there's no one there, when none of the owners are actually in occupation. So that's how that works. So at the moment, we cannot go on to Torchwood. That's okay, because they're right on the boundary, so we do get to see them. And yeah, it's one of those things that is designed specifically to ensure that these animals, and that the environment, most importantly as well, is not overpressurized. So you don't want 500 vehicles driving the same off-road track to get to a leopard sighting. It's limited. It also means that the experience is that much more special. Can you say that? Is that English? I think it's not quite what I was trying to say, but you can actually spend longer with the animals. Speaking of things that are very special and unique, we of course are able to show rhino in the Masai Mara.
Well done, Jamie, and sorry that you had malaria, but I'm sure now you're in good shape, and it's very typical to get malaria in Africa, but once in a while, you know. And from leopards now we're coming to the rhinos, and my afternoon now looks to be spicing up, unlike the frustrations I had before. I got a black rhino now, and I think this is pretty exciting. And it's very interesting when I talk of black rhino, because in the background there we got some ellis, and Jamie just had a leopard, two leopards, Kalamba and Tandy, and not very far from where we are we also got buffaloes. So in under 3 minutes we got 4 of the big 5 we are talking about, as those birds flew there. Looks like they were either herons of some sort, and got buffaloes there, and we got rhino in the background, and of course the ellis that we saw. So this should be like 3 of the big 5, and see how these males are eating, coming towards us. Exactly. Look, reminds me I had seen some lions earlier, so definitely this afternoon we have achieved the big 5, because I'm sure all of you know the big 5: the buffaloes, the elephants, the lions, the leopards, and the ellis. I think we have done pretty well. Now we got 2 types of rhinos in Africa: black rhinos and white rhinos. This particular one here is a black rhino, and we are very lucky to see it where she is, because in general black rhinos are browsers, and they tend to eat small leaves of shrubs or plants, or shrubs of some kind, or some twigs. But where she is, you might wonder what she is doing. Either she has gotten herself some nice bush she is feeding on. There's a particular bush here that we call the keeper's bush, and that's what maybe she could be feeding on. Not sure whether it's a he or a she, but in general the black rhinos tend to remain in the thickets, in the bushes. Now, apart from the white rhinos being grazers, talking about eating grass, and the blacks eating leaves and twigs, as I said earlier, or some branches, they have another major difference between the two. If we are lucky to see the mouth of this particular one, very good. Turn around if you can. You'll see she got like a sharp pointed mouth that we say like its prehensile lip, that helps her to grab leaves or twigs or whatever they feed on as browsers, whereas the white rhinos got a rectangular shaped mouth. What a wonderful light is coming through now. That's great light. So that's one important big difference between the two, and even when you see them, it's the same way. Now, deja vu, I'll tell you, I do not know of any predators that would hunt adult rhinos, but baby rhinos, we have seen lions going for them. Not once, we have seen lions going for baby rhinos, but for the adults, no predator, I have no deja vu that would go for these animals. I mean, they're very big. They will intimidate, apparently, I'll show you deja vu. Rhinos will even intimidate elephants, and especially when they have their young ones. They don't see very well, but they got wonderful smell, and their hearing is very sharp, so they can easily pick any movement towards them, and they can smell any animal towards them. And I think there's an oxpecker on top of her back there. These pachyderms got very hard skins, but sometimes you have seen, parasites like, ticks still are able to get their teeth through the skin of these rhinos. Well, so deja vu, I do not know of any predator that would go for a fully grown rhino, but the babies have been preyed once in a while by lions. But of course, by mistake I'm saying, if the baby is abandoned somewhere, or it has fallen in a hole and the mother can't get it out or something like that, or they lose each other, but it's very unusual even for the babies to be preyed upon by lions. What would happen is the black rhinos always will have their babies either on the side or at the back, because they venture in very dangerous thickets, and they'll always want to be sure the road ahead is safe for their calves. But when we look at the white rhinos, if the baby is not on the side, the baby is in the front of the mothers, because it's always open, and as I said earlier, they are grazers and they feed on grass, so there'll be more. I would say we see more white rhinos than black rhinos. So one of the biggest challenges rhinos have faced has been poaching, which luckily now is being contained, and we're coming to what sometimes they call the golden moment, and the sun could be going down on the western horizon. And look at that beautiful sky. That's lovely. So maybe having seen the big five, now we might say we have the big six with the sunset going down on the western horizon. And let's find out about Jamie's leopards.
Well, Tlalumba's doing a beautiful job of being slightly more visible than she was earlier. So we will definitely take what we can get. That's right, it's been a big 5 drive. Well done, bravo team. We've had elephants, buff, lions, leopards. What's the other one again? Rhino. There we go. That's the one that David, of course, just showed you in the Masai Mara. Awesome. Now we just need a cheetah, David. And I'm saying Gigi because there's a much better chance that he's going to find one than we are, but you never know. Standing by. Sorry, please repeat. FM, I've still got visual. I'm not sure who's going to get here first, but if they get up and go further into Torchwood, I'm going to lose them. Okay, Gobby, come quickly. Come south down Cheetah Cut Line. It looks like she's moving east. Okay. Don't leave. Don't leave me. Don't you want to say hi? No. Minamu, you want to know whether or not female leopards are more tolerant of male or female cubs. I've lost them. I've lost her. Where did she go? I've lost the view. Sorry, hold on, Minamu. I have an answer to that. I will give it to you in a second, because I find, although the textbooks would say different, I find that there is a difference in the way that they treat their cubs. Sorry, give me one moment. Hold up. No problem. Right. Minamu wants to know what if there's any difference in the way that females treat their cubs, whether they're male or females. I think there is. Oh, there you go. Well done. Well done. Awesome. Oh, there's a kill. That's awkward. That's very embarrassing. Well, at least I didn't drive past 2 leopards, but I did drive past the fact that I did completely miss that there's a dangling impala. Well done, Tandi. At least by the looks of it, I'm not there. What you doing, Tlalamba? Mom's chosen the most awkward way of placing that in a weeping wattle. Okay, there's a vehicle that just wants to drive through. Oh, cool. Well, that means they're not going anywhere. It means they're not coming any closer, but it does mean that they are not leaving either. And to think that people thought Tandi was just going to abandon Tlalamba to the elements at this age. I'd never for a moment thought that. So, Minamu, I really feel that female leopards, to try and finally answer your question in the absolute chaos, he's also moving forward, I really find that the female leopards tend to be more tolerant of their male cubs than the females. No worries, Orbs. Enjoy. Ooh. Okay, copy. Thanks very much, Orbs. Orbie says I can go on. Because he says it's the fire break, which means we can go closer. Right, Minamu. I'll go for it. If I can make my way towards the fire break, then I can reposition, so go ahead. Everybody's being so nice to me. Minamu, you are destined never to have your question answered. In fact, I think at this point, we should keep you completely 100% in suspense as to what the answer to that question is. No, I find leopardesses slightly less tolerant of their female offspring than their male offspring. It doesn't mean they love them any less. I think it's just that natural territorial urge starts to kick in. Now that only happens... You okay there, Craig? Can you sort of get without... Yeah. Sorry, it's not fantastic, but it's better than we had. I think it's because, of course, female leopards are not territorial towards males, but they are territorial towards females, even if those females are their daughters. And I suspect that's why and that doesn't apply until the cubs are about a year old, and you start to see the difference there. Where's Tandi gone? She must be lying up in the shade at the back. Tlalamba the acrobat. Yeah, let's go forward. I'm sure I can get a better view here. I'm so rule-abiding. I forgot. I completely forgot that I was allowed on the fire break. How's that, Craig? All right, so remember that you can send through your questions on hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. Apparently you guys are very quiet this afternoon on the Sunset Safari. Let's have a one-word tweet. How about that? A one-word tweet to describe this sighting. Long overdue. Is that one word? It isn't really, is it? It's definitely not one word. That's definitely two words. But I'm allowed to break the rules because I make them. But hashtag SafariLive on Twitter is how you can share your one-word tweet. That nice. Tandi once again proving what an extraordinary huntress she is. Apparently she was quite thin. Paula says that you're all just quiet because you're in awe. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It is an awesome sighting in the truest sense. Data's one-word tweet. One-word tweet. Data's one-word tweet. Data's one-word tweet. It's obviously been Christmas and holiday season for far too long. I've got treats on the brain. Is hungry. Crunch, says the leopard in response. That's not Tlalamba. I'm talking nonsense. Susan, you say your one word is chewy. Yes, chewy is also a very good description. Crunching its way through. You know what is very irritating about this, which it shouldn't be, is the fact that in this particular instance this kill's been here for looks like at least a day, or at least half a day. They've devoured most of it, which means that they've been hanging out here this whole time. It's just one of those things. She probably hadn't hoisted it and therefore was just hidden in the shade. We love the summer, we really do. with its beautiful greenery, but it does make things just that little bit more difficult. I see Tlalamba, but she's actually hidden right under William's feet, and I don't think Craig can actually... No, I don't think Craig can actually get to her. She's right under the Juma tracker's feet. It's so sweet. Right, now, what is the heaviest weight that a leopard could hoist into a tree? Generally, I find that as a sort of a guiding rule, about their body weight is a rough guideline. But leopards are so phenomenally strong that sometimes you get extraordinary feats of strength that defy the laws of physics almost, because they actually lift things that are a bit heavier than them. So for a female leopard like Tundi, she probably only weighs about 40 kilograms or so. So she really, you know, she would struggle, you would think, to get something more than that up into a tree. But an impala weighs about 60, and I've seen her hoist fully grown, unopened impala. So there you go, an extra 50% of her body weight added on. She can get up into a tree. No problem, guys. Cheers. Where a leopard like Tingana, 90 kilograms, has been known to hoist all sorts of massive things like adult warthogs, which can weigh up to 100 kilograms. We've seen leopards with giraffe in trees, and that one extraordinary moment where I think Hosana had a baby buffalo, although admittedly he'd eaten quite a bit of it first before he yanked it up into a tree. What a nice surprise this is. Seasick, yes, I would say that Tlalamba is strong enough at this point to kill an impala by herself. You, of course, left me the wriggle room because you didn't say adult impala. I think that she would probably struggle with an adult male impala. She might even find herself quite challenged by an adult female. But at the moment, there are lots of little lambs wandering about, and she absolutely would be able to tackle an impala lamb of the sort of the size that's knocking about at the moment. I think she could take on a sub-adult nyala as well, or not a sub-adult, a young nyala. It's amazing what leopards are capable of doing. It never fails to astound, well, it never fails to astound me, and I assume most of you as well, just how strong they are. I have known Tundi to, well, I say that, we don't actually know if she killed a female waterbuck, but she was found feeding on a female waterbuck, and it looked from the tracks that she'd killed it. I've seen her with 3 adult male impala in one go. She's quite extraordinary in that respect. She's an absolutely formidable hunter. Good on you. Okay, now obviously I have to do a lot of catching up with the various people who've pulled into this sighting and saying hello to me. So while we do that and while we pay a bit of Tetris, let's go across to Tristan to see whether he's had any further luck with those pesky dogs.
No, Jamie, not at all. Wild dogs have got to be my nemesis in life because I always struggle to find them. Now, Senzo said he saw something run. What did you see, Senz? Carry on forward. I always trust Senzo's judgment because he's got eyes better than most. He often sees, yes, here's Duiker running. I think they might be here because there's 2 Duiker that are running, and generally when 2 Duiker run like that, there might be something around. Senz, you might have picked this exactly where it needs to be, but I don't see any dog hot on the heel of those 2 Duikers. But the way that they were running was not of 2 animals that are scared of us. They kind of crossed the road in front of us. Doggies, where are you? To the right, eh, Senz? I don't know. Can't see anything. Like normally when there's dogs chasing an animal and the animal's running like that, they're not far behind. They typically come bouncing through on their way kind of behind the animal. So I would have thought we would have seen them by now already. I don't hear any sort of... no, I don't think so. Sense, was it those Dyker maybe? Or did it not look like that? Was it the Dyker maybe or not? So Sense says it might have been those Dyker. Okay, well they were running with a lot of purpose. So either they're absolutely petrified of Rusty, or the dogs are somewhere in this general vicinity. Dog tracking is sometimes the most frustrating thing in the world because they've obviously been cruising on the roads all day long. Now when you're looking for them, they're nowhere to be seen. They're nowhere near a road. So we'll just have to keep kind of having a little look around and seeing what we can find. Hopefully we find Doggies and Hosanna together. That would be cool. As long as Hosanna is safe, it would be nice. There's no chance really of finding Tingy because he's all the way up on Buffel's Hook at the moment. He was seen this morning quite late. Sandra, you say fingers are crossed. Well, yes, I think we're going to need many crossed fingers and toes and every other good kind of juju we can imagine so that we can actually find these guys, because they're going to be a bit tricky if they are still lying up in a thicket somewhere. You know, this long grass and their mottled coat, they often can hide incredibly well, and it makes it very difficult sometimes to actually see them. But I was hopeful that it was them running through the bush there, but alas, it was a Dyker. Not ideal. But they're somewhere here. I mean, they must be. Aubrey says he's checked Rebecca's, Philemon's, Vuyatela access, nothing going west. So they must be somewhere around this Mulwati system. The problem is it's getting to that time of the day now where they're going to start running. It's getting cool, and so we're probably going to have a tough time of it. Anyway, let's see what we can do. We'll try keep looping around. In the meantime, back to Tundi and Tlalamba with Jamie.
This is such a nice surprise. I really am quite chuffed. I can't think really of a better way to be welcomed back home. And it really does feel like home. I absolutely loved the Masai Mara, don't get me wrong. But I was thinking about it today when I was driving back to work. I didn't realize how large of a hole or how much of a part of me was missing without being in the Lowveld. So this is a very nice way to come back into all of that. Just a quick note, because we usually do it, or we often do it, at the start of our sunset safari, but this afternoon we will be joined by a school. I think it's in about 10 or so minutes now. So we will be joined by a school. You'll notice, of course, that our tone changes ever so slightly. The kids' questions get priority. That doesn't mean that you stop sending through your questions. You may continue to do so, of course, in the normal ways. But it's one of the things that I find... Oh, wait. No, don't move. No, William. Stay where you were. Sorry, I know I'm not allowed to take pictures. But William was so perfectly positioned where Tlalamba was. William, of course, being Aubrey's incredibly professional tracker. I just wanted one picture of him that he can keep, of him with a leopard under his feet. What was I talking about? Oh yes, the importance of school drives. The school drives are unbelievably crucial to what it is that we envision as our mission, in that we try our best to develop a love of nature and the wild as early as possible and as far and wide as possible. And of course, kids being the custodians of the future. There we go. Craig, you should be able to see Tlalamba now, can you? Yeah. There we go. She's over there. She's playing with something. You got a stick. Well, you're still a little girl at heart. That's good. Hold on to that. Pretty cat. Balthazar, you want to know if lions are as agile as leopards? Oh, she's so gorgeous. I just love her. And the answer to that is no, not quite. They're much bigger, they're much stronger, which means they're a bit more muscle-bound. Leopards are, pound for pound, the most powerful big cat, but they are smaller, they're agile, and they are beyond lightning fast when it comes down to actual reflexes. So much so that a lion that catches a leopard finds itself with a serious battle on its hands, because they just are so quick and so much stronger than they look. Now, these are all things that Hlalamba has to learn and master as she gets a little bit older. Hey, pretty girl. Happy New Year. Not that you care, of course. She doesn't to me, I'm going to open up a can of worms here. She really doesn't look like Tundi to me. I can see a little bit of Tundi in her, but she doesn't look like her mom that much, to my mind. She is a pretty cat. Serious. So serious looking half the time. And then all of a sudden she explodes into a bundle of playfulness. She has grown. It's crazy. Now, Luke's just telling me that a lot of you are commenting on how much she's grown. She really has. There's something very ladylike now about her. She's poised. Except, of course, when she's biting a stick. Now, Bone Crusher Queen, which was, of course, a brilliant documentary about a hyena, interestingly enough, so I appreciate the Bone Crusher Queen name. Bone Crusher Queen says that she thinks that there's more of a resemblance to Hosanna in Hlalamba than there is to Tundi. I can see it. I have to confess, I didn't notice until someone pointed out, but I do see a little bit of Sindile in her. I mean, it's been so long since I last saw Sindile, who of course was Tundi's sister's cub. So Tundi's sister Shadow, her son. But Tingana was also his father, most likely. Oh, she's so hot. Hot and panting. All I can hear is Tundi crunching through the remains of that impala. I'm happy she's got something. Apparently the last time you saw her, she was quite hungry. She was looking a little bit thin. Look at those claws. How cool is that? What on earth were they called again? One of our viewers came up with the most hilarious name for cat's paws, and now I can't remember. I think it was murder mittens. No, there was another one as well. Sure, you can see how she's flexed her tendons to... I think I've misheard your name, but it might have been Tisme. Tisme? I think you were the one who answered the question. Now you wanted to know if Tundi and Hlalamba will share this impala. They have been. Yes, they will share it. What you'll find is that as the cubs grow older, the females become a little bit more growly around a kill. The mothers, they often hiss at their cubs to make sure that they actually get a little bit, or manage to get a little bit to eat. But they will still share with their cubs. Now, Hlalamba is only, what is she? She's 14 months old now. Not quite, but just about. So she's still got another, at least I would say, 4 months before she's really ready to face independence, if not even a little bit longer. So while she is capable of catching and killing her own food, she absolutely will still be reliant on her mom, and she still needs the skill and the experience of her mom. Particularly now, this is quite a difficult time of year. Less so because there's baby impala, but in the next 2 or so months, as the baby impala get older and they become more alert, they grow so fast that they become better at getting away from predators. The animals become more spread out because there's more water, so it actually becomes more difficult for predators. Although there's more cover, so I don't know. I think for lions it becomes more difficult. I'm not so sure that leopards don't just have a field day in this dense vegetation. James Richard wants to know why I think that Thandi is spending as much time as she is on Torchwood. I am not 100. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, James. Let me give you a full answer. But someone's searching for us. Standing by, Andrew. Andrew, she's just on the Torchwood side of Cheetah Cut Line between Central and Pipeline. No problem. Both of them are here. There's a Malabamba and a Weeping Wattle. What? Sorry, Andrew. No, it's Thandi and Tlalamba. Right. What on earth? Oh, I was answering James's question about why Thandi's spending so much time in Torchwood. I suspect it's got to do with the fact that as she gets older, she actually doesn't want to continue to defend a massive territory. She's got a young rival off to the west of her in the form of Shidulu. She obviously got into quite a nasty fight with Sibui. So I think that she's basically shifting her stronghold into a slightly smaller area. You can almost think of it as sort of consolidating her assets and downsizing a little bit. And I think that she's decided, because I do think that there is some sort of either conscious or subconscious wisdom to this. I think that she's figured that quarantine is probably less of a threat as the male dominant to the east than Hukamuri further to the west. So don't you think that it makes sense that she would centralize in Tingana's territory, but that she'd favor being further towards Quarantine, who's her younger brother, than towards Hukamuri, who isn't? Does that make sense? I mean, who knows what exactly is going on in her mind, but Torchwood was always part of her territory before Karula disappeared, so I think she's just become a little bit overstretched. And Tingana, of course, is her father, or Tlalamba's father, I mean, and Hukamuri's a massive threat to her. Sibui is not related to her, so I guess it makes sense for her to shift further in. Now, Mr. Q, or Quarantine, who is Thandi's younger brother, he could still be a potential threat to Tlalamba, but I think she'd rather take her chances with him, because I do think there's a degree of kin recognition. I think she'd rather take her chances with him than she would with Hukamuri. Unless she was worried that Hosana was going to turn the tables, and perhaps, although we didn't know it, or didn't realize it, perhaps he was just constantly stealing from her after he stood up to her. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I doubt it. I think Hosana is a perfectly comfortable, competent hunter in his own right. All right. Alrighty, it's time for us to welcome the school on board. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to send them all the way across to the Masai Mara to join David.
Very well done, Jamie, for having kept the princess and the queen together for that long. And it's wonderful when we hear of the mother and the daughter still being very good friends. The last time I was the Talalamba, the daughter, she was behaving like a typical teenage girl. And on 2 occasions, I saw her on her own, and I was a bit worried because she wasn't yet at that age when they become, to adulthood or sexually mature to be on her own. But as soon as they came back to Kenya, I got the good news. They were reunited, which is very nice. Now, we were done with the black rhino, which was quite an exciting view or sighting for us this evening or afternoon in the Mara Triangle. And I thought earlier I had promised you that I would swing by these 2 lionesses that I saw with this morning with 2 cubs. So because it has cooled off now, and something tells me chances are the females might come out of the den, and I'll be more than happy to see them. Well, I want to introduce myself to all the kids of River Valley Elementary School from Wisconsin in the US. My name is David, and with me on camera is Bungay. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. And we'll only request you one thing: through your teachers, if you can, ask us questions. Any comments you may want to throw to us, please go ahead and do it. And you can do that through your teachers, because what we do is a very interactive drive. If you look, Bungay is just going to pan out a little bit, and what you're going to see now, boys and girls, is nothing but darkness. The reason being, we are in Kenya, and Kenya is a country ahead of South Africa by about 1 hour. So the grass you see there's no grass or vegetation that looks like that. It looks like that because it's already dark and it's in black and white. Otherwise, we are using what we call infrared, and infrared is a very special type of light where you can see animals without influencing their behavior. So the animals don't see that light, but when we shine the infrared to them, the animals will not even have an idea we are that close. That's why you see it's already dark here, and once we'll take you to another country called South Africa, you see most likely they'll still be in color or in the natural light. All right, so we'll have all surprises for you. We look for all types of animals, and always here in the African wilderness is always about luck, and depending on what is out there, we're going to show you all the animals possible for the next 45 minutes or so. So, as I say, I'll take you down to another country that's over 2,000 miles from here, called South Africa, to a friend of mine who would like to say hello to all of you.
Well, you're very right, David. Luck is what is required out here. A good dollop of it, and that's how you find certain animals. Now, I'm just reversing for you guys shortly, and I will show you why. But before I do, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Senzo this afternoon, and it is very good to have you all with us. Hopefully you're going to enjoy the next 45 minutes as we take you through Africa. Now, in the top of a tree right up on my right hand side is a big bird of prey, and so there's a vulture that is sitting over there and is sitting right at the top of the tree, and it will be using its incredible eyesight to be able to see what's going on around this area. Now, the reason why it's very important that we stop here and have a look at this vulture is because at the moment we're trying to track down a very rare animal called a wild dog. Now, wild dogs are animals that occur in Africa, and they are very, very, very interesting creatures. They're always in a pack together, and they also are called painted wolves, so that's another name for them. And they've been milling about here during the course of today. We don't know exactly where they are now. We just found lots and lots and lots of their footprints. But often they are very successful hunters, and they find a lot of food. And vultures can be a good indication of maybe where they've killed, and if they have killed, maybe they then have laid down somewhere nearby in the shade to rest, because it's been quite a hot afternoon. And so it's important that we look out for these kind of signs when tracking things like wild dogs. The problem is that there's just one, and now one white-backed vulture is never a sure sign of wild dogs. So, Kayla, how do we get close to take the pictures of all the animals? Well, Kayla, that vulture actually is very far from where we are at the moment. It's a long, long way away. We're lucky that we have very, very powerful cameras that allow us to see quite a long distance. I mean, that vulture is probably, I would say, about 100 meters from where we are at the moment, which is very, very long. And so that's one reason. And the second reason is that a lot of these animals out here have learned that the car is not something to be afraid of. So we've driven around here for many years, and they've learned that we don't hunt them, we don't chase them, we don't steal their food, and that means that they see us almost as like a part of their environment that is something they don't have to worry about. And that allows us to get very close to a lot of the animals, particularly down here in South Africa. We get to see the animals quite close, and hopefully this afternoon we'll be able to show you a lot of our very special animals that we see in this area. And it's all just because we're respectful to the wildlife, and the wildlife then learns that we are not something to be threatened by at all. Right, I'm going to just see if there's any other signs of birds of prey like vultures around here, because it could be a good indication that the dogs are somewhere close by. And while I do that, I'm going to send you back to David all the way in the Mara with a very big animal.
You have seen some birds, and I thought, now let's go to big animals. Now let's go to serious big mammals. And this is the largest mammal in the whole world, I'm sure you know. And I'm saying the largest mammal that lives on land. I'm sure you know there are other animals that are bigger than elephants, like whales that live in the water. But on land, this is the largest animal or mammal. Now this, of course, is a young one. And this is an African elephant. And as I told you when we began, that you'll be seeing animals in different light, because elephants ideally don't look like this. Do you agree, boys and girls? They look a bit grayish, and this is not the normal color of them. Again, I want to remind you, I told you shall be seeing them in what we call infrared. And so this particular elephant, look at the tusks, how big they are. And what she's doing now, she's feeding on grass. And you can see how she's flicking her tail from left to right. And because of the infrared, we only see her in black and white. The tusks in general are always white, even during the day. So it's not about, using infrared. And elephants are herbivores. Herbivores are animals that eat grass, or let's say herbivores are animals that eat anything green, from grass, leaves, little twigs, tree barks. So those are all animals that we call herbivores, and elephants are very good examples of herbivores. All right, boys and girls, in Africa, the animals that we talk, or we call the big five, and elephant is one of them. And my friend Jamie in South Africa has another of the big five.
And this particular animal definitely doesn't only eat grass and trees. So hello and welcome to the students who have joined us. Just a quick introduction and explanation as to what's going on. Now, my name is Jamie. Behind me is Craig. He's operating the camera. And we are with not one, but two leopards. And it's very, very exciting. Now, at the moment, what the leopard is doing is she is eating her dinner. Now, leopards and lions and all of the other animals out here that eat meat as a part of their diet, now they can't go to the grocery store and get some nice pre-packed meat. So although this looks a little bit disgusting to us, it's actually really not. This is how she survives out here. Her whole digestive system, her teeth, everything means that she has to eat meat, which means she has to catch antelope, which is what she's done here. Now, because she's not the biggest cat out here, and she's not even the biggest predator out here, she's put it in a tree to help to keep it safe. And it's very sad for the impala, but it's very, very important for her, and it's very important for her daughter, who is here somewhere hidden behind a bush. Now, Caitlin, you want to know how many years leopards live for. It depends on whether or not we're talking about a male or a female. Females usually live a little bit longer than males. It's not uncommon to hear of a female leopard that's lived up to 16, sometimes even 18 years old, but a male leopard is usually considered very old and near the end of his life at around about 14 or so. So it's a harsh world out here, and leopards are territorial. In other words, they have a piece of land. Oh, she's about to drop it. Oh, there it goes. She's about to drop it out of the tree. Oh, it's dangling still from a piece of skin. Now, leopards are territorial. What that means is they have a piece of land, and that is theirs. That is their own. That's they call their own. And they defend it very, very fiercely. So when they get older, it becomes harder and harder for them to defend their territory. Now see how well her camouflage... Oh, here comes her daughter now. Her daughter's going to come up below her. Ah, Dylan. It's a very, very good question. Dylan wants to know if these animals are free to go where they want, or are there fences? There are fences, but the fences are very far away from where we are now, and the area within the fence is huge. And by huge, I mean it's around about 4 million or so football fields. So it is an absolutely massive, massive wilderness area. It's called the Greater Kruger, and it is the size of some small countries, or bigger than some small countries. So they've got a very, very big open space. There we go. That's her daughter, everyone. That's Tundi's daughter. Now that her mum is finished feeding, she's come up. Now Tundi, who was the first leopard she saw, her name means the beloved, or the loved one. And this is her daughter, Tlalamba, which is basically a mischievous, playful name. That's basically what it means. But she's been waiting for her mom to finish, and now she's hungry too. So yes, there are fences. There are lots of places where David is, for example, in the Masai Mara, where there are no fences. But here in South Africa there are. But for a leopard, a fence means nothing. So leopards jump over fences all the time. Leopards go where they want. We have heard stories of leopards being found right in the middle of our capital city, which is a place called, or one of our capital cities, which is a place called Pretoria. So leopards can actually get pretty much anywhere they want. They've even been recorded living in the drainage of a football stadium. Look at her claws. Could just see them poking out. Now, Layla, you want to know if leopards would be nice to people or if they are dangerous. Now, all wild animals can be dangerous. They have not been domesticated and they are impossible to tame. So all wild animals can be dangerous. So yes, leopards can be dangerous to people, but most of the time they actually completely ignore people. Now, these cats are comfortable with us, and I've even walked and sat watching a leopard from about 40 or so yards away on foot, and he wasn't even bothered. But you can't do that with all leopards. But most of the time, if a leopard sees a person walking around and they're not used to seeing them, they will run away. So they can be potentially dangerous, but most of the time they are not. Now, you will sometimes see pictures of people hugging leopards or touching leopards or lions or maybe jaguars or tigers. That's really, really bad, and it can be really dangerous because, remember how I said they can't be tamed? They can get used to people, especially if they are raised from a cub by a human being. But that wild instinct is still there, and it makes it very dangerous and also very unfair to them because they don't know what they are. They're an animal that's designed to live out here in these big open spaces. Isn't she beautiful? Look at the stunning color of her green eyes. Absolutely lovely. Now, I spoke about the fact that there are fences here in South Africa. Let's go across to the man for whom fences are not an issue.
Lucky to see a young princess like Tlalamba, which is a very young girl of a leopard. Now, when I was here earlier in the day, I had seen a lioness that also had 2 small cubs, well, much smaller than Talamba, and that's exactly what I'm trying to look with my spotlight. And if you're lucky, the mother might bring those cubs out. Nothing that I can see at the moment, but it was around this area. So what happens when it's too hot? They'll always not come out and just stay in the grass. And you also notice what I was saying before, our grass doesn't look the normal color that should be of green. Is because we are in infrared, and I told you here in Kenya we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa, so it gets much darker here. So what I want to do is to drive through this grass very slowly, looking very carefully. Or sometimes what we do is just to switch off the light and switch off the car, and we listen, because lions at night will always call. Or if you don't see the lions, the animals like hyenas that also tend to call at night. So that's how exactly we find our animals at night. So I want to go in this little grass here to my right using my spotlight, but as soon as I spot something interesting, I'll always switch off my lights and then use the infrared to see whether I'll be lucky to get the lions. That's a very good question. Can elephants and other animals see in the dark? And yes, they can see in the dark. But what will happen here, they're not going to see the colors that we see every time. What they see, they'll be seeing dark and light shades, but they're not going to see the colors like black, yellow, green, red, but they can comfortably also see in the dark. And most animals will see that way. So everything they see, you see how we're showing you stuff in infrared in black and white? That's how the animals will see at night. Marcia, we are never afraid of the animals you see in the wild. What we do, we have lived with these animals for a very long time and for very many years. So we know their behavior and we know what exactly to do. Just put some light there, Bungay, see if there's anything there. And we know what they do, and also we know how they behave. So they know us. I'm not saying they know us, but we know when to go very close and when not to go very close. And there's what we call body language of animals. Sorry, I thought I had seen something there, but it's just grass. And the body language, Mercy, I'm talking of, if you see an animal is not very comfortable with you, we'll always move back. If we are too loud, we become very soft. But in general, they don't get so close to us and we treat them very well. Now let's go back close to Jamie with the leopards as I'm trying to find out if I'll be lucky to see the lioness that I had seen earlier with the cubs.
I hope you get lucky indeed. We got very lucky. It was pure chance that we stumbled upon these leopards. We were just driving along and I was talking about some nonsense, and then I looked up and I saw 2 leopards, which is even better than 1 leopard. So this is Tlalamba. She is still feeding. Now, different animals have different teeth depending on what they eat. Now, a leopard and a lion, of course, has long, sharp canines, just like your dogs or your cats at home. But most importantly, for when they're actually feeding, they've got molars that act like scissors, like a pair of scissors. And that's actually what she's using to cut the pieces of meat, because she can't use her front teeth. Well, she can't use any teeth because she dropped it. Oh dear girl, now she's got to go and fetch it. See how she's using her paw to hook it back to her? Now Dylan, you want to know if people feed these animals or if they hunt for themselves. These animals hunt for themselves, so nobody here feeds them. They have to do the hunting themselves. They have to catch their food. So for a young leopard like Tlalamba, that actually means having to learn how to hunt first before she can actually feed, which is why her mom's still doing a lot of the hunting for her, because although she can hunt, she's still got to learn a little bit more about how it all works. Now, feeding animals can also be very, very dangerous. So sometimes what people do is they leave food out for baboons or monkeys, and sometimes they even feed hyenas in the various holiday places that you can go out here. Now that's also very bad because the animal learns to associate people with food, and often that means they become so dangerous that they get killed by people. So remember, if you ever see wild animals, don't ever feed them in that way. Big dangerous animals become even more dangerous. It's better to let nature do its thing. Now, Kayla, you want to know how cats get into trees without falling. Well, there's a couple of different ways. One, they've got very sharp claws which help to grip onto the tree. Two, they're very, very strong. Now, remember that strength means balance. So if you are struggling to balance, you do some exercises and that will help you to learn to balance. It's the same for leopards. They're very strong, so it helps them to balance on the trees. They've also got a very, very long, heavy tail. And that tail, they can make it stiff or they can flop it down onto the other side of the tree, and that basically helps to balance them. So kind of like a counterweight to help to hold them where they want to be. So all of those things and very sort of strong but flexible joints makes the leopard perfectly equipped for climbing. And they really are, of all the big cats that we see out here, the big ones, they probably are they definitely are the best at climbing trees, which Tlalamba's decided to demonstrate by going down the tree. Okay, while Tlalamba tries a different angle to get her dinner, let's go across to Tristan to see what wonderful facts about the wilderness he wants to share with you.
Well, not very well, Jamie. You are definitely getting more luck than I'm having today, that's for sure, because I haven't seen anything since you've last seen me. It's been very, very, very dire, I'm afraid. There's been not many animals around, and I don't know why. It's probably because the dogs are somewhere here. They tend to cause a bit of a stir when they come through. I was saying earlier that they're very, very good hunters, and they chase everything. So they'll chase all kinds of antelope species and hares, and they'll even go after things like leopards if there's more than enough of them. And so they often, when they're around, you'll find things go very quiet. The animals tend to kind of move away from that area and makes it a little bit tricky to find other things. But we haven't given up hope just yet. This is the prime kind of wild dog time. This is when they like to hunt, so it's a good time to kind of try and find them, and hopefully with a bit of luck they'll pop out. Reese, are wild dogs related to domestic dogs? So wild dogs, I mean, they are part of the kind of broad scheme of dogs, but what differs them from dogs, so they're not directly related. So even though they're called wild dogs, they're actually not as closely related as one would think. They look very dog-like, but they've got, what's different to them and normal dogs is they've got fused toes. So their two middle toes are fused, which means that they don't actually split open. So unlike normal dogs, which will have all four digits are able to move, theirs aren't. Theirs have got a fused sort of middle toe. So that's one difference that they have. So they're not exactly like dogs, but they look very similar. They essentially have a dog-like kind of look about them, but not exactly related to them. And that's why they don't have canine in their scientific name. They have the name Lycaon pictus, which means a painted wolf, so that's where it kind of comes from. So they're an interesting species, and one that I wish we could find for you, because they're one of the rarest carnivores that we get here in Africa. In fact, there's only about 3,000 of them left. Ella, the most dangerous animal in South Africa is humans, hands down. They are horrible creatures that move around and destroy things and generally cause mischief. But in terms of wild animals, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're on foot, then typically your most dangerous animal, I suppose actually ellies are probably one of the most dangerous, generally, if you give them a bit of space and you watch and you're careful about it, you can stay safe around them. But they can be very dangerous. Hippos on foot are very, very dangerous and can cause a lot of problems. Buffalo, also very, very aggressive if you're walking out here. In terms of a vehicle, though, an elephant would be probably your number one threat. It'd be something that you'd have to be very careful of if you are around and moving about in this area. Now, still no sign of any more track of these doggies. I was hoping that we were going to find them somewhere in this area and that they were going to pop out. So the fact that we haven't found any sign of them makes me wonder if they haven't killed something and they were now just sleeping off their really big meal, because normally at this time they would be hunting and moving around and we'd be finding tracks. If not seeing them, we'd just be finding tracks of them trotting over roads and things like that. So I think they must still be somewhere stationary at the moment. Peyton, no. So a wild dog is bigger than a red fox. It's about the size of I would say a thin Labrador is probably the size that they are. Now in front of us is an animal that the wild dogs would probably love to eat. It's an impala that's over there, that's sitting having a bit of a graze, and it's very relaxed, which means that the wild dogs probably haven't been here. But what you'll notice with this impala is that it's got a broken horn. Do you see that? Its right horn is broken off. And that would have happened due to a fight. So this impala will fight for females around May. April, May is when it's the rut, and they'll kind of go after each other. Now, the thing is about those horns is they're actually not going to grow back. Well, that one won't grow back. It's not like antlers. So antlers is cartilage that grows out and will drop off every year, whereas a horn, which is what all our antelope down here have, it's a piece of bone that fuses to the skull that's covered in a hard hair, basically like your nails, that covers over it. And so when that breaks, it's like, imagine if you had to cut your arm off, your arm's not going to regrow. So it's the same thing for these guys. If they break that horn, unfortunately there's no more growth at all. Now this impala is busy scent marking and is rubbing its head against a tree. Now one other unfortunate impala that has already found its way into a tree is the one that's with Jamie, Klalamba and Tandi.
It is a very unfortunate impala, but it does mean that there are 2 leopards that will go to sleep with very, very full bellies. So nothing is wasted out here. Even when the leopards have finished... Oh, she's going to... Careful, girl, you're going to drop it. Even when the leopards have finished feeding, the carcass will actually fall out of the tree and it will be gathered up by hyenas, or it will stay in the tree and various bird species and insects will come and use all that scraps that remain. So nothing gets wasted out here, and it's all part of a sort of big circle. So if there were no leopards, then, or lions, or hyenas, or wild dogs, then the antelope would be able to just breed and breed and breed and breed, and nothing would catch them and kill them. Then there'd be too many antelope and other animals like that. Then they would eat all the vegetation, and then there'd be nothing left for them to eat. So nature's got a way, that's a very oversimplified way of looking at it, but nature's got her way of balancing everything, just like a leopard balances in a tree. Oh, Tyson, very good question. Tyson wants to know how long leopards are from head to tail. Now, from the very tip of their nose to the very tip of their tail, you'll probably find that they're around about, depending on the size of the leopard, I would say close on 2.5 meters, so around about just over 6 foot from the very tip of their tail to the top of their nosies. So they're quite long animals, but a lot of that is tail. So the tail is almost the length of their body. Not quite, but almost the length of their bodies. So they're quite long animals. And then to give you an idea as to how much they weigh, Klalamba probably, if I had to guess, she's about the size of she's a big dog, but she's about the size of, say, what would be a good example? A Labrador? give or take. Not a big Labrador, a small Labrador. She's about the size of a Labrador. So she probably weighs around about 30 kilograms. Not an overweight Labrador either, as they have a tendency to do. Blakely, yes, very well done. That's exactly what leopards use their spots for. Leopards use their spots for blending in and catching prey. So being able to hide out here is very important. So a leopard would want to hide in order to be able to sneak up on whatever it is that it's trying to catch for its prey. But a leopard might want to hide for other reasons. A leopard might want to hide because there are lions around, or perhaps a leopard wants to hide because there are hyenas. So leopards are an animal that like to be secret. They don't like being seen, and you can actually see it when they walk around through the bush. If something sees them and gives off a signal that they've been seen. So squirrels, for example. Squirrels, if they see a leopard, they go... It was not my best impression, but I can't do it too loudly because I don't want to disturb the leopards. But they do that, and you can actually see the leopard getting irritated with the squirrel, and they start to sort of flick their tail. That's because they don't really like to be seen. They're much happier when nothing knows that they are there. Look at that. See how her tail is almost completely hidden up against the bark of the tree? And we only saw them because we got really, really lucky. Tatum, you want to know how big the leopard's paw is. So it is, well, I'll tell you what, let me show you on the palm of my hand, because she's still eating. I mean, she hasn't changed much of what she's doing. So this is my hand. Obviously, this is my hand. I've got quite smallish hands, not too small, but I've got quite small hands. So a paw print of a leopard, of a female leopard, is sort of from the top of my palm to the bottom in length. So their paws are just a little bit bigger. So their paws are probably from this first joint of my finger all the way down to my wrist. That's about how big a leopard's paw is. That's a female. In a male, the male's paws are probably around about the size of my hand, but much, much stronger and much thicker. So I use my fingers, as you do too, for other things. We don't really need to be able to grab and pull our body weight up with our fingernails, thank goodness, because otherwise we wouldn't manage. But that's what leopards have to do. So their paws are designed very differently to ours, and they're very, very strong, much thicker. The toes are short but thick and strong, and of course they have those sharp, sharp claws. Now here in South Africa, the sun is just starting to set because we are right in the middle of summer, so our days are long. For David, the days are not quite as long in the Masai Mara.
Well, fun to see Talamba and to see the mother. So what I've decided to do is not look for that particular lioness that I was talking about, because I'm coming very close to her. Let me see if I stop here. If Bunge will see her. She's quite a distance, but we must see a different predator from what I was watching. And boys and girls, just imagine who that is. And that is a spotted hyena. Isn't that cute? So leopards are types of predators, and hyenas also are types of predators. And apparently both of them get busy at the same time, say at night when it cools off. And right behind that hyena there, she got a den. Do you see that little like mound and this little like a hole? That is her burrow. That is where she lives. And of course, you know, hyenas look brown, a bit of creamish, a bit of brown, you know, spots on their bodies. But again, because I told you we are in black and white, or we are using infrared, so we can put the artificial light, the light to the hyena, but the hyena cannot see that kind of light. It's a very special light that we use. You see how her eyes are glaring? So she's maybe thinking whether she's going to come out and go and feed. We got 3 types of hyenas in Africa, and this particular one is called the spotted hyena. Remember, boys and girls, should you have any questions or comments as you've been doing, send them through your teachers because they give us a lot of joy. Hyenas go in groups that we call clans. So if you see 1, 2, 3, you can say a clan of hyenas. Something very special about hyenas, in every group or in every clan, they're led by one female. So a female is always the boss of the hyenas. It's not the boys. So the girls here are in charge. And in every clan or in every group, there'll be one particular girl or one particular female that will be in charge of the rest. Cindy, very good question. What do hyenas eat? Hyenas are carnivores, and they're just like leopards. And I'm sure Jamie told you, carnivores are those animals that eat meat, and they eat other animals. So hyenas can hunt for themselves. They can hunt antelopes if they get them. They can hunt zebras, any animal. But also hyenas, Cindy, they also scavenge. To scavenge means, if for example a leopard like Tandy makes a kill and she eats and she is full and she is gone, what she leaves behind, it will be cleaned by this hyena or the vultures that Tristan had. Or not necessarily what leopards have killed, even lions, when they kill an animal for example and they eat and they leave the bones, hyenas, boys and girls, have the strongest of all jaws of the animals that I know of here in Africa. And hyenas will crush bones, they will eat even the hides and skin and even the horns of animals like antelopes, wildebeest, hartebeest, name them. The only thing the hyenas will not manage to chew very well are the teeth of those animals. Otherwise, everything else, from the skull to the kneecap, all the bones, they'll crush them and eat them. Isabella, I'll be confirming to you how long hyenas sleep for. It might have slipped my mind. I'm trying to guess it could be about 12 years, but I'll definitely confirm to you because we have so many animals to follow here, Isabella, and trying to remember every animal, how long they live for. I'll be also confirming the same with my friend Jamie or Tristan, but I'll let you know how long they live for. But that's a very good question. How nice to see. She's not even moving. She's just there watching us. Fuji, this to me looks like a young one, but some of them could go up to 40 kilos, but they can get even bigger than that, especially the spotted hyenas, and I'm talking of 40 or 35 kilos, which could be about, double that, 65 or 70 pounds, and that could be the weight of these ones. But in general, the females are bigger in size than the males. In general, the females are bigger in size than the males. How nice to see them here, eh? So what she's doing, either she's waiting for the rest, and once the others come, they might decide to go and hunt or just go and scavenge in this particular area. So remember, boys and girls, should you have any questions, please don't be shy to ask us. So this, I told you, is the spotted hyenas. We have another type of hyena that is called the brown hyena and striped hyena. Mike, a very good question. Do hyenas hunt in packs? Yes and no. You might see one hyena chasing an animal by itself, but in general, I would say more yes than no, because it's easier for them when they hunt as a pack or a group. Mike, that's a very good question, and I would say yes, hyenas hunt in a pack, because the more they are, the better chances they got to bring something down. How lovely. I don't know where the others are, but I'm sure if they're around here, they're going to show up anytime now, and it'll be so exciting to see a whole group. We have Cindy, that's a very good question. And you have heard Cindy us talking of, or you heard me talking of the spotted hyenas, but also I also talked of brown hyenas and striped hyenas. But yes, this particular type, Cindy, of hyena that I told you is called spotted hyena, is also what we call the laughing hyena. Let me see whether they can do that. You see, Cindy? So the spotted hyena, its other name is the laughing hyena. And I think I had a question. I don't know who it was from. Look, you can remind me for how long hyenas live for. I've been walking my mind and I had said 12 years, and I think I want to stick to my answer. Hyenas live for about 12 years. I thought initially it was a guess, but I think I just double confirmed when I remembered my old days, like you boys and girls. When I was in college, my lecturer told me the hyenas live for about 12 years. Oh, Isabella, very good. Yes. Very good. Isabella, thank you. Now at least I got your answer for you. I initially told you 12 years, but now I have double confirmed they live for 12 years. Now I will leave you with my predator here and I'll take you back to Tristan, who may be having some interesting predators also.
We have indeed. So we've managed to catch up with the wild dogs. We said that this is a time that they start to hunt and come out, and so very nice to see them out and about and moving. And you can see they're just finishing off the leftovers of an impala. Unfortunately, they grabbed the impala, and with wild dogs, they don't eat like a leopard does. They eat a very different way. Now I'm going to just try and move a little bit so we can kind of see them. I'm just going to go back slightly. They will eat little bits and chunks and try and kind of grab little pieces, and everyone will eat as fast as possible because they don't have the luxury of being able to put it up in a tree like the leopards do. And so what they've got to do is they've got to eat very, very quickly before things like hyenas come around and try and chase them off and steal their food. So they quickly eat as fast as they can, and then they move off. Now there are 6 wild dogs in total here, which is a small pack. You know, generally with wild dogs you'll find that they can be small packs like this that are 6 and all the way down to about 2 or 3, and then they can go all the way up to over 40 dogs together, which is quite crazy. Now when there's 40 dogs together, they have to eat so much, they have to constantly try and find food and look for food, and it means that they hunt a lot more than what these 6 would do. These 6 would be chasing something like an impala, they would eat and then they'd be quite full. You can see their tummies fill up, so kind of full already. Brooklyn, the tip of their tail is white because of the fact that that is a following mechanism. So what you'll see is many of the animals out here will have some sort of marking on their tail or their bum that will be easily seen by others. And so what you'll find is something like, let's say, these guys with white tips. Lions have a black tip to their tail, and that's so that they are able to see one another when they're running ahead, and it allows them to stay together in a group. It also allows them to see a safe passage. Now they've finished their meal and now they're going to trot on, so they might carry on hunting or they might go for water now. Often after they've eaten, it's time to go and have a little drink, and there's a pan that's actually not too far away, so we're going to try and catch up with them and see where they go. The problem with wild dogs is they move so fast. It can be really tricky to keep up with a wild dog. They tend to run a lot faster than people think, and so it can be really hard if they do decide to run. So we'll have to just kind of try and stay with them as much as possible. So we're going to just try and sneak through here. So Liliana, wild dogs are basically predators of any sort of small to medium-sized mammals, particularly things like impalas or things that are very closely related to deers. Now you can see, look at them, they're running already, and so they're chasing something. I don't know what they're chasing, but to get with them is going to be tricky, so hold on everybody, we're going to try and get through here, which is not going to be easy at all. So you can see how fast they move. They go from 0 to 100 very quickly, and that's generally when they're chasing something. Luckily for us, they seem to have stopped a little bit in front, otherwise it's going to be really hard to keep up. We're going to try our very best through this. It's not a very nice place to have wild dogs because of how thick it is in here. So this should be fairly intriguing, but we'll try our very best. Oh, hello. There you are. So there's one there that is just trotting off. Unfortunately, it's very dense in here, which makes it super hard to stay with them. And like I say, they move much faster than most predators, and generally they don't actually even walk. They try and kind of trot more than anything else. And so at least now they've slowed down a little bit, but I think they're going to go to water. The pan that I'm talking about is not far away, so we're going to try and follow them through. You can see they're all kind of running along, and you see how they move. They're not like normal animals that walk. They run everywhere, and that's what makes them so hard to find. So Tyson, very good question, because wild dogs have very big litters, much bigger litters than most animals. The problem is that they have a very high mortality rate. So a lot of wild dogs die as puppies. In fact, 50% of wild dogs, puppies, will die within the first 3 months. Now, they generally will have anywhere between, they'll have between sort of normally anywhere sort of from 4 up to as many as 20 puppies at one time. Now you can imagine 20 puppies at once is a lot of mouths to feed, which makes it very, very tricky. But isn't this cool to see them? You guys are very, very lucky, because here in South Africa, there's not even 500 of these wild dogs in the whole of South Africa, and in the whole world, there's less than 3,000 of them. So it shows you how incredibly rare they are. So you've been spoiled that you've managed to see the wild dogs. It's very, very cool that we've managed to see them. Unfortunately, though, it is that time of the day, though, where we're going to have to say goodbye. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys with us, and I hope that you enjoyed your ride through Africa, and I hope that you don't get too much homework when you go home today. So from Jamie, myself, and David in the Mara, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see the rest of our normal viewers tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.